And you're live.
Awesome. Hi guys, we're doing the Journey to the Centre of the Earth by Jules Verne. We might as well go with what we thought about the book first. So let's start from the left and go with Amy.
Jamie.
Yeah.
Yeah? Sorry? Oh, did I miss something?
Lovely.
What's going on? Okay. So am I going first?
Yeah.
You get to be at the head of the line.
Okay, no worries. Oh, God, sorry. Okay, so I liked it. It was a bit weird because it read really funny and it had like exclamation points at weird times. And, it's a bit strange, but it was okay. I was saying to Mel on a thread on Goodreads, or sort of a thread of comments, that Axel comes off as like a 12-year-old boy rather than like a 20-year-old man or however old he's supposed to be, which is a bit weird. And the professor, I didn't find him to be eccentric, which is how he's described like in the summary. He just seems just weird, and I don't like him very much. But the one passage that stuck out to me that made me actually really like the book was when Axel gets lost and he's like in the tunnel in the dark. Like that's just terrified me. So I really like that passage. But yeah, it's okay. It wasn't that bad. It was okay. That's pretty much my thoughts.
Alright, Kimberly. Yeah.
I really liked it. I saw myself, I probably would have enjoyed it when I was much younger more than I enjoyed it now, because it was a pretty simple read and not very long. Yeah, I think, when I was about, 10, 12, I really would have absolutely loved this book. So yeah, I thought it was okay, but I just thought I was a little bit old to be reading it now. I should have really read it when I was younger. Axel is a little bit whiny. At times you think, you're getting a little bit too whiny for a 20-year-old boy. And the professor just came over as crazy. Not eccentric to me. Just pretty much crazy, yeah.
Lucky. Who's next?
Matt? I'm not sure the Kim person's there. They're not really talking about.
Is Matt there?
Can anyone hear or see me?
Yep, I can see you.
Yeah, we
right?
can hear and see you.
Oh, good. Awesome. Were we going from left to right or something, or what?
Yeah, because I can see Kirsten's avatar, but I can't see Kirsten in real life.
Yeah, we might be having some weird internet issues at the moment, so... Not
You
sure.
guys aren't with Dodo, are you?
No.
Oh, good.
Until it dies.
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I can't see myself either. I've got a black screen for me, but I can hear everybody.
Yeah, it's black.
But it's all really pixely.
We can hear you, Kirsten.
I wonder why my thing is not working. Weird.
Just wait a moment, I have a job.
Kirsten, do you want to just let us know what you thought anyway? Even just the power of your voice?
Technically, I didn't read it, but okay, I have read it, but I read it a long, long time ago, so I thought I'd join in and see, hopefully, if listening to you all jogged my memory, but it's been, I would say, at least 5 years ago that I read it. I think I read it once before when I was younger as well, but I did reread it fairly recently, but yeah, not that long ago that I can remember really very much. But I did like it. I remember thinking it was very, you had to suspend disbelief from the very beginning, that if you were able to do that, then I found it quite enjoyable. Oh, I can see myself now.
Yep.
Can anybody
You're up.
Oh, yes. There you are. Woohoo.
What in the world happened to my window?
Matt?
Me? Go?
Go, Matt.
Okay. Yeah, I enjoyed it. It was, you can tell, it's a different style to what we read a lot of these days. The flow and the type of language used, and that made an interesting read. One of the things that sort of stuck out to me was every time they were talking about savant, and I immediately think of like the insane genius, but it's really, I don't think it's used as much now, but it's just more of a term to describe someone who's just like an expert in something. Like, they're not a crazy madman, they're just, an awesome professional person, So that was, one of those learning thingies. Yeah, the suspension of disbelief was one of those things. It was interesting, like, Vern was trying to go with, I guess, what was scientific knowledge about geology of the Earth at the time, and extrapolate a little bit on that, and sort of try and make it based a little bit in reality. But, the thing that really threw it for me was the whole climb up the lava tube at the end, and it's like, oh, this lava's just pushing us up, and it's really hot, but we're okay. That was one step too far in the suspension of disbelief for me, but otherwise, I could sort of go along with it. I thought I didn't dislike Leidenbrock so much, but I thought he was taking so many risks, very risk behaviour kind of guy. He's like, oh no, it doesn't matter. He'll be all good. So I thought, wouldn't want to be hanging around with him too much, but generally pretty good. Probably talk about more stuff as we go through.
Mel?
I agree about the suspension of disbelief. I was sort of thrown a lot. But for me, it was the lack of scientific method. Oh, we'll just assume these things, and it's true because we assume them. And I was like, oh, God, it's not even we need some evidence. It's just because I've surmised this and that means it's true. So that lack of scientific method for me was what really threw me out. I could deal with suspending belief about a lot of other things because we do that all the time when we're reading fantasy, right? So
do you think it was like an ego thing for him, though?
Some of it was definitely ego. He needed to have a reason to explain all these things and that, and he wouldn't believe his nephew whenever he had to say something. And anyway, but I still enjoyed it, and I think for me the particular reason why I enjoyed it is because I could see it as a precursor for books like A Natural History of Dragons, and I was like, this is the kind of method that she was trying to go with it. I am a scientist, buy into my world here rather than just hey, here's a world I'm going to present to you. And I kind of liked that aspect of it and really enjoyed it from that side of things. I think I would have enjoyed it more if I put my reading glasses on earlier because the writing in my book is kind of small. And I think that's why I was going so slow in the beginning. And at the end, I finished it in 2 days, and I was like, why did it take me so long to read the first bit? It wasn't that it was boring. And, it was the glasses.
I think I did a similar thing, though. I think there may have actually been something in the pacing that it was moving a lot slower in the first half and then started to pick up. I don't know, but...
Yeah, I read the first 60 pages really slowly and then just flew through it. So maybe there was something about it. Maybe it just didn't grab our attention as much in the beginning as it did later in the book, possibly. Because it was quite a while to get to the volcano, and then it sort of got a little bit more interesting. There's the bit we were waiting for.
It's been a while, but I remember there was quite a bit of setup before they actually got to the expedition part.
Yeah, I agree on the pacing, but I literally, in one afternoon, I was sitting there reading, not getting very far, picked up the glasses finally, and then read 10 pages of a very big book, so 10 pages is more like 20 pages, in 15 minutes. So I don't think it was that things had changed that much.
All right,
Olivia.
Sarah?
No, you're next.
You're next.
It's alphabetical.
All right. Well, I'm normally... It's all right. I wasn't a huge fan of the novel. I again, with the pacing, it felt a bit tedious. I was waiting for it to pick up, and I think I went into wanting a bit more adventure instead of like piles and piles of scientific information. But and also I wasn't a huge fan of the characters. I think the only character who was okay was Ham, but didn't whine. He wasn't a huge ego person, but yeah, I think it was up to like 250 pages in for me, and it only started to just pick up a little bit. And I did really enjoy the part when they're on the sea and there's either like the Plesiosaurus and Ichthyosaurus, or whatever it's how you pronounce it. I can't pronounce dinosaurs.
Me, my nephew.
Yeah. Despite loving walking with dinosaurs and all those other things. Anyway, but, yeah, I wasn't a huge fan of the novel. Yeah, that's what I got to say.
Okay, me. Yeah, I think it was really interesting because this was one that we wanted to read a classic, right? And in it, I found that there was so much where you can see that science fiction has come from in fantasy as well. You know, there's so much foundation in there, and it really was, you know, the start of something. But it also is the start of something. It's something we often talk about as a group. The first novels often aren't very good, and it lacked world building for starters. You know, when we talk about the physics and the chemistry of the worlds and the universes that are built, that was kind of missing, you know. And so there's a lot that I think people have learned to do as authors, and how to make sense of stuff over the last 120 years. I can't remember the publishing date on this, but I think it was the beginning of something.
1864.
Wow. Okay. That's a long time ago.
Well, if you also consider it, it's actually technically part of a series, because that's what this book is. It's all 7 of the books, and like the ones that are well known and still respected, like 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea and Around the World in 80 Days. And if you look at the list, they're towards the end, whereas A Journey to the Center of the Earth was second.
I think it partly would also be that he was better at predicting those, you know, like 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea. We have submarines, whereas Journey to the Center of the Earth, we don't have dinosaurs in the middle of the Earth.
Actually, that's a thing. I also thought, and I think Kirsten thought this too, that there were actual dinosaurs in there, and I was waiting for the part where the dinosaurs showed up, and it's like, no, there are no dinosaurs. There's mammoths. There's some of those other, you know, weird sort of
later ones,
later ones, but about as dinosaur-y as they get are like the ichthyosaurs and that kind of thing, which was sort of after anyway.
I always classified a plesiosaur and an ichthyosaur as dinosaurs, although I think they've recently kind of said, oh, well, they're not really, but I kind of always saw them as that. When I was a kid, if you got a book about dinosaurs, that plesiosaurs would be in it.
Yeah. But was there any old movie version or anything like that where there was dinosaurs? I'm trying to
think there
remember if I was just got it in my head or something.
It's been a while since I've seen the old movie. I did see the old movie, and I'm sure it did have proper dinosaurs in it. But
it did. Okay, so I put the trailer up on the Hangout page that Olivia set up. I don't know if anyone watched it. I thought it was interesting because I watched the trailer for the Brendan Fraser one first.
I watched the Brendan Fraser one.
Oh, God. And I just went, wow, this is nothing to do with the book, like, at all. It's just, you know, it's like based on. It's based,
well, actually, that was the interesting thing. It was actually a similar sort of premise. The idea was that he had found a book which actually belonged to his brother, and sort of followed the steps to get there, and that. So the initial premise was still there.
It did. The interesting thing was, I was actually watching the Brendan Fraser one trailer, and I thought, yes, it's based on it, but I can see that they're actually trying to make this world a little bit more holistic. So I'd be interested to know, Mel, what you thought of it. I then watched the trailer for someone to put together or maybe it was the official one, for the 1959 one, and I pasted that, and that looks pretty damn faithful. Except that they did have some dinosaurs in there, but their dinosaurs are basically lizards with things stuck on their backs, and filmed, you know, like.
Oh yeah, the animals, like they got the bearded dragons and
Yeah.
So they were limited
like
by
something with a
the-
20-foot tongue.
Yeah, that's it. And you go, so they go, the thing's really only that big in real life, but we're filming
Yeah.
it.
This is why I asked if anybody read the other version. Because from what I
I
understand,
remember.
the other version is more popular, and we know that that one was spiced up. So I'm wondering if that version had the dinosaurs in it, and that's why all the movies have dinosaurs in them.
Maybe. I actually am interested to read it, because I think the question I have as far as, this was originally in French, and the translation is often everything. And I don't, Mel, I know you speak and read in another language, and people talk about the translations being so important, and that you get good translations and bad translations. And there seems to be a translation that's come through this, and I wonder if it just never translated very well into English, and that a lot of it got missed. What was, and I'll talk about this later on anyway, is that I finally watched, you'll be so happy, Mel, I finally watched My Neighbor Totoro.
Yes!
I know, I finally watched it. And interestingly, I watched it with the subtitles first, then I watched it back. Yes.
Oh, you good girl, you good girl.
Well, I did do that, but then
We always
went
watch it
back
with the subtitles.
and rewatched it with the English audio, and I got more out of it with the audio. I felt that the translation, and I actually have found that on a few of them, was lacking some of the emotional depth, and it was just this kind of very broad translation that didn't really take on the emotionalness of the characters, and there were bits that didn't get translated, and then I realized when they did the audio, if there had been actually the subtitles, I would have understood bits of it more. And I wonder if that's what's happened in here, that parts of this didn't translate through as well, being from, apparently they're German, being written in French, translated into English, maybe it all kind of went a bit strange. The other thing I think was really interesting, so I'm just going to finish my review, was, and I realized it later, is that I got the sense that Jules Verne really should have been a travel writer. He wanted to travel the world and tell everybody about the places he'd been. Because he spent an inordinate amount of time talking about traveling here, and he loved obviously getting on trains, and he liked ferries, and we spent so much time actually getting to Iceland. That's why I kind of was like, the pacing of this is like, these days you could actually start in Iceland saying, so my uncle has found this, document, and, you could actually start there, but there was so much like, and we were in this wharf, and I went for a little walk, and I saw the amazing architecture, and, so I got the sense that he really wanted to be a traveller, and I read later on the Wikipedia page that he did, that around the world in 80 days, it was just his way of trying to tell people the places he'd been and seen. So I think that also affects stuff. Then finally, I have never had to look up so many words in my life. There's words in here. Again, I was like, what on earth is, half of these words, I gave up after a while. And what was also quite cool is, because this is based on real things, I kept putting in things into my phone to see images of stuff, I know you guys are big dinosaur or the later period fans, and I was like, what does this thing look like? Because I couldn't quite understand it. So I thought it was. Look,
we have dinosaurs at work for the kids to play with, so I've got a general idea, because they're always picking them up and saying their name, telling their parents what they are.
That's pretty cool. I couldn't understand how they thought it was a turtle and a snake and a this, and I was going, what the hell does this thing look like? Because I was imagining all kinds of weird things.
That probably dates how long it was that I last read it, because I'm sure that I didn't have a smartphone last time I read that book. So that dates
when they first say when they first say they're going to see the eider down hunter, I'm like, what the hell? And then I looked it up, I'm like, I know what that is.
Eider down, yeah.
Eider down.
The eider is a bird. Down is it's down. Okay, I get it now.
I did think his description of how they got the eider down, I was both like, oh, wow, I feel really sorry, and I bet that's not how it happens now.
It's probably the most humane of the ways to get the down,
Yeah. I glimpsed a lot of that scene.
So what are we going to talk about?
I was just going to comment, Sarah, on what you just said about the words, and it was interesting. A lot of lot of words in there that we still use, but they're like variations on how we use the words now, like illumined instead of like we'd say illuminated, but it was like it illumined the space, you know, and it's just like I enjoyed that different style of.
I totally enjoyed it. I just had to keep looking things up. Like.
Yeah. Oh, and I noticed when I first read the word inflammable, of course I misunderstood it because people don't tend to use the word inflammable anymore because it's confusing. They'll just say flammable. Because if you say inflammable, people are like, so it's not flammable, but it actually means that it's flammable still.
Yeah.
All those mixed things going on.
Yeah.
Oh man, yeah. And I had to Gourds was the other one, which I did know of from Game of Gourds for anybody here who watches Living It Diaries. But I was like going, I thought that was just pumpkins and stuff, and then I didn't realise they turned them into water things. But that was still cool.
I think I must have read quite a few things with gourds in them because I'm so used to the term gourds now.
When I read when I was a kid, and it was one of the books that I read several times over when I was a kid was Family Robinson. You know, where they get shipwrecked on this island, and one of the things they do in that is they find this tree with these gourds, and then they put string around them so that when they grow, they go in like a flask shape, so they can, and then they cut them and use them for flasks. So when I read about a gourd, I always flash back to reading Swiss Family Robinson, and that's what it makes me think of.
And I think it's a very common thing in some fantasy things because, they tend to be older style where they don't always have flasks, so they use gourds. Or water skins.
Yeah. I get the water skins and the bladders, like often to that, they pull
and they're
out
often
bladder.
sort of, similarly shaped. I was reading the paperback copy, and every time it had degrees in Celsius, it had a little asterisk when put it in Fahrenheit at the bottom of the page.
Oh, really?
I'm like, don't do that. Yeah.
That would have
I wish they did that the
obviously
other way
this is for the
round.
American audiences or the older people because I'm like, I don't know what that means in Fahrenheit. I've forgotten by now what Fahrenheit is.
But then to Matt's point, wasn't there a bit when they were, I don't know, and apparently it was like 80, because they'd been Fahrenheit the whole time, and then there was a bit where it was like 80 degrees, and I was just sitting there going, I was like going, is that Celsius or Fahrenheit? Because I'm like doing the same thing. I'm thinking, you're dead.
It seemed like it alternated between different for no apparent reason.
Yeah, I think when it was them talking about how hot it was it could possibly be in Fahrenheit, but when he was doing measurements, it was always in centigrade. Because that's what his measurements were.
Mine was really weird because at the very beginning, at the first time it gave a measurement, and they were discussing how the temperature would increase as they went down. My book actually had an asterisk note and said that they were going to do it in Fahrenheit, and I got all up in arms and very upset because I was like, hang on a second, you're telling me it was in centigrade, they're scientists, so they should be talking in centigrade, and yet you're going to translate it to Fahrenheit. And I was like, no. But then they pretty much did it all the way through exactly that, where they had the centigrade and then the brackets for Fahrenheit, except for one at the very, very end, and they said it was 150 degrees, and I was like, I'm pretty sure you're talking Fahrenheit there.
Fahrenheit.
That might have been the one that was 80 that I still went, it's still going to die.
Yeah.
That sounds about right, because it was when they were coming up on the lava, and I was
it was.
Yeah.
And how did their raft not just, combust?
Combust.
On the bottom, I'm like, seriously, made of wood.
I was just reading a little bit
Although
about...
it was made of semi-petrified wood, I don't know if that makes a difference.
Yeah, stony or something.
Oh, yeah, maybe.
The understanding of volcanism at the time,
it would conduct
heat.
Yeah, you get very, very hot feet.
And if it was stony, it would have sunk. Wasn't it? It was like petrified wood, wasn't it? And petrified wood is basically peat and that type of thing, which you burn. So...
Oh, you can get petrified wood like a rock, like hard like a rock. That doesn't float. In my rock collection when I was a kid, but no,
because they said it was somewhere in the middle. It wasn't quite fully petrified, but it was partly petrified.
Suspending our disbelief there.
That was the whole book, though, wasn't it?
I wonder how much readers of the time would have had to have suspend disbelief, because it seems as though he based it on pretty much fairly good understanding at the time of the different things. Like, they didn't understand what caused volcanic eruptions. They thought it was the reaction between boiling water and other gases in the crust, and that's what forced lava out. And it's like, no, that's not what happens, you know. But at the time, that's what the understanding was. So
yeah, I think people didn't know, so it was like, well, it could be. Whereas now we know a lot more about it, so we know it's laughable that this could be what it is. Yeah, we read books about, you know, space, sort of, you know, like solar systems outside of ours, and we really know not very much about other solar systems and what the planets are like in other solar systems.
Aliens are laughing at us.
It's easy to imagine anything,
Yeah.
but if they you know, a few hundred years in the future and we've developed warp drive or whatever, and we know what those solar systems are actually like, you know, those people might look back on books, our modern science fiction, and laugh about that. So our Star Trek version of everyone looks like a humanoid for some reason.
there's the reason.
I think that's the
Yeah,
thing
well,
about,
not just Star Trek.
isn't that the thing about science fiction? Like, you've pretty much got to accept that in 20, 30 years you could very well have been outdated with your book and it might never get read again. The chances of having a classic that's going to survive is pretty hard. I mean, look at when we read that Nora Jones one, the In Death series, and
Nora Roberts, you mean?
I was going to say Nora Roberts.
JD Robb.
Be a good audio book.
Oh, yeah.
And,
Oh, was something I read recently. What was I reading recently? It was the same thing. They kept talking about, it was that,
the Grey Walker.
It was the Grey Walker. Yeah.
No, like, if you have a
They have
pager and
pages.
not a cell
the
phone.
one about the robot one. Has anyone read that one yet?
Just started
I
today.
haven't read it yet.
The Silver Medal Lover, that one? And they keep talking about she's listening to music on tape.
Oh dear.
Well, she might be Star-Lord.
Yeah.
I'm hooked on a feeling.
To expand on what you guys are saying, I was thinking the other when I was finishing it that it's actually kind of a neat notion that there's never going to be a book written like this ever again because the scientific notions in it are wrong. So for us to write something similar to it, it's never going to happen. You know what I mean? So it makes it an extremely unique historical type of story, if that makes sense. I find that to be very interesting.
I know, I like that. But like, I also saw other books in it in terms of the concepts. Like, if you look at, has anybody else read Ringworld by Larry Niven?
No,
No, but I want to.
Sitting on the books.
It's amazing. I have it at home. I have it on the shelf and haven't got to it.
Okay, so essentially the concept behind this one actually comes from a theory that the idea that a planet could be hollow and wrapped around a sun. And
Dyson sphere.
Dyson sphere, that's exactly it. But he takes it a different direction. Instead of having it as a full sphere, he just has a ring that goes around the sun. And so I could see that concept inside this book and how it might have been built out of this idea. In terms of like the pressure in the middle was the sun sort of producing light space and things like that.
I know why this is familiar. I read The Mote in God's Eye, and he was one of the writers on that, wasn't he? Yeah. I think there's talk. Yes. Yeah. No, it's all right. Sorry. Yeah.
The video game Halo is also kind of based on Ringworld too.
Yeah. It's a big theory that's been out for a while. He happened to do it Larry Niven did it in one way. What I'm saying is that I could see like concepts coming out of it, and that's what I liked about it was that I could see all of those little connections. So while I agree, Jamie, totally that it was Jamie who was saying this, right?
Yes. There's too many people, it's all confusing.
More than usual. Because I could see clearly, like what you're saying, that no other book will be written about this theory again. But at the same time, I could see how other theories have been built out of it, and I really like that idea.
I was a bit disappointed they didn't actually go to the centre of the Earth.
Yeah, it wasn't really.
Yeah.
They kind of,
where this guy was going, but they didn't go to the centre of the Earth. They didn't get to the centre of the Earth, so why is it called that? It's like, it's the journey to the centre of the Earth. I'm like,
yeah.
I don't think if
They
you
were
translate the
journeying
original title,
Yeah.
it's
Well,
not that
apparently-
anyway.
Yeah, and apparently, okay, well that makes sense, Kim, thank you, that does explain it now, because that makes me reflect on 80 leagues under the seas, the plural, because they don't go 80 leagues down, they actually travel 80 leagues under the seas of the earth. Yeah, exactly. So it must be something in the French translation that, it's like, it's that whole thing of comma counts. Sometimes you need... So actually, you're right.
Grandma or grandma.
But no,
See,
thank you,
in
Kirsten. That makes
It
sense.
sounds like it should be that, but obviously the original translation, they didn't translate it into that. So obviously there was something in it that they,
Yeah.
because it was translated to journey into the interior of the Earth.
Yeah,
Which is true. Which is true.
Okay.
That makes which is what they did. But I guess maybe that's not as...
Wait, now I have to look at
It's
the French.
not as catchy a title.
I think because if you look in the French, the word they use is, I don't know how to pronounce it, but it's written like centre, like it's C-E-N-T-R-E.
Voyage,
So
centre
it
de
would
la
be
Terre.
easy to change it to centre, even if that's not the literal translation.
No, that is the translation of it. I'm pretty confident from my French that is the translation of it. So.
Or maybe when they translated it, they thought, that's probably not a good name for it, so let's change the name.
Yeah, no one's going to read this. They don't go anywhere.
No one's going to read the French.
Or just mess with their expectations.
Well, perhaps in
When
the
are they going to get
direct,
to the centre?
perhaps in the non-direct translation where he's rewritten the work essentially and changed the names, and that maybe they do go to the centre of the Earth, and that's why they kept that name on that one, because he might have rewritten it so that they actually do get there. But then at the same time, the thing that, this is one of the science things that I really struggled, because I know that the science at the time understood the concept of gravity, and it's just like you're on this ocean, so this is the sky, but how does that work inside the Earth? I don't understand. Why did it choose this way up? Why did you not get there and it was this way or something?
I was doing the same thing.
Science.
Does
Killing my
anyone
brain.
get to the bit where right at the end he's with like, oh, the compass is pointing south, and I'm like, oh, of course, it was the ball, it was the fireball. I'm like, oh, duh. All right, I get it.
But
like,
it wasn't,
that compass is not good.
Yeah, but it wasn't even that much of a problem. Like, maybe it's just me, I didn't read it as much of a problem. I thought it might be that they went, oh, we actually must have gone to the centre of the Earth and it fucked up, because that's what I thought the reveal was going to be, or I thought that would be, but it was just, there was a fireball, and there was nothing about that fireball again, was there?
No.
It was
just during the storm.
just there to
Ball
miss.
lightning.
But
I don't think they understood what ball lightning was. We don't understand what it is probably now, but at the time...
It was almost like it was a sentient thing, wasn't it? That ball of stuff. And
the way he wrote it, the way it was written, it did sound like it was doing something on purpose. I don't think it was supposed to be.
Yeah. And the other thing I remember about that scene, but it actually sounded really beautiful, and I could kind of imagine in my head it was kind of like the Harry Potter ceiling, was all the clouds, just the slight, I'm guessing it was like lightning, or like, you see the soft kind of lightning. And the one thing he didn't include, which I thought would have been, well, two things he didn't include, which I thought were going to be in there for sure, were like glowworms and phosphorescence, and neither of them were in there. They would have been brilliant sources of light, and they were definitely both known at the time. So I was like,
You need to watch the Brendan Fraser one. They put that stuff in there.
oh, good stuff.
I was just thinking that. I thought, I'm sure I remembered something about that, and it must have been from one of the movies, but yeah.
I like when they were walking down the one of the hallways and everything was clear, and he said it's like being in a giant diamond. I'm like, oh, all the sparkly things. I'm like, whoa, pretty.
Yeah.
So, I personally didn't much like anybody and just kept complaining about them. But did anybody else feel like the whole time that they were just really using Hans badly? I was like, this dude is running around saving your life, and he's your servant, and he just has to fix everything while you guys go wandering off exploring. I'm like, dude, your lives are in danger here.
But he did have the chance to go back when Axel wanted to go back, and he just sat there and went, nah, not gone. He's paying me.
I didn't think that it was that he didn't want to do those things. He did them quite happily, but I was just like, could you guys treat him more like a slave if you tried?
Yeah, I think that was to do with the time though, and the difference between classes and things.
Yeah,
he's a servant.
Like, for the aristocrats and he would have just been like a servant kind of thing, you know.
Yeah.
I know. It didn't play with how sometimes they treated him almost like a friend, especially at the end. They were sort of sad that he'd left, and it was like, well, dudes, you treated him like a servant, and he's ready to go home now. He's done his job.
Yeah.
Like Downton Abbey.
Yeah.
Yeah, he got his pay every week, including like on the mountain. Apparently, they stored the cash.
Yep.
Oh, he had money.
Everything else went missing.
He had gold, silver, and money. I'm like, what? I guess. I guess in that time you could still probably pay in gold and silver.
But I even found it hard to believe they were managing to carry that much food.
All that much stuff. Like,
6 months worth.
Go? Like, in 1860, yeah, all that food. Like their ideas of preservation and, you know, freeze dried packets probably.
It would have been all beef jerky.
Well, it would have been all beef jerky.
Right.
I think they had some tea and some.
Apparently there was some coffee. They managed to dredge up at some point.
A little bit of coffee. Yeah,
Yes, the
bit of
coffee
tea and
was
coffee.
I would have believed that sort of stuff a little bit more if every now and then they killed something to eat and had something different. Otherwise, I was a bit worried about the scurvy.
Yeah.
How long does it take the scurvy to set in, though? That's an interesting question.
Because they weren't really gone that long.
Yeah, how long do you have to be vitamin C deficient before you actually get the scurvy?
Don't know.
I'm going to Google it now.
Looking that up right now.
I'll let you guys do it. You can tell us.
Yeah, you guys are doing it. I don't need to stop and try. Trust your sources.
Wikipedia.
Hello. Yeah, I put way too much credit into Wikipedia.
It's upstairs.
I figure all the boring stuff you can trust because who'd play with that?
Yeah. Why would you bother playing with scurvy?
About 1 to 3 months before you notice any actual symptoms. Before that, some general lethargy.
So it can happen before 1 month, but it's not necessarily.
It doesn't have very severe.
Yeah, it says after 1 to 3 months, shortness of breath and bone pain.
Right. So probably Axel had it because he was complaining and compared to Hans and his uncle who was a hell of a lot older than him.
Up a bit, though.
Yeah, but he kept going, you know, like, I don't know, kept having problems and like, I couldn't do this and I needed to collapse. And like, yeah, when he got lost, like, fair enough. But he kept passing out. I don't know. I just kind of got a bit annoyed with Axel. I'm like, your freaking uncle is managing to stay, you know. I didn't like him much either. And that was probably one of my biggest problems with this was there was a lack of unlikable characters.
Yeah.
I didn't like the uncle. I didn't like Axel. Hans, I didn't like because I didn't feel like he was developed. Like, I liked him okay, but he wasn't developed very well. You know, he's just there. He was almost like a Deus Machina. He was like a, you know, something that needed to be there to carry the stuff and fix the craft and make things go okay.
Well, they wouldn't have survived without him.
Well, that's what I mean. It was just like, we need an active God. Well, we'll have this man here and he can make things happen, you know, so.
There seemed to be a lot of stuff driven by coincidence in this book, though.
Yeah,
like,
that's
true. The whole figuring out of the code in the first place, I was like, oh, really?
Yeah.
What luck.
See, that's why I thought I would have enjoyed it much more when I was younger, because that's the sort of thing I would have gone, oh, wow, code. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now I'm like, really? Does that really work?
Yeah, and that's my question for you, Kim, when you mentioned that during your first off review was, you said, I think I would have enjoyed this when I was 12. I don't think I could have coped with the language of this when I was 12. I would have given up quite quickly.
I read a lot when I was a kid, and I read really hard. I was reading Anne Rice by the time I was 13, and yeah. So.
But she writes pretty well.
I read it as a kid as well, and I would have just kind of, I think, worked out things by context, or just kind of gone, well, I didn't understand that word, but I'm just going to move on, and gotten it enough. And
there was a lot
I have a pocket dictionary.
Yeah.
My book that's from the library, it says it's a reading challenge from 7 to 9 years old. Like, I wouldn't have been reading this book at 7 years old.
No,
7.
That's why it's a challenge.
You'd actually be surprised how many books actually get classified now as young reading, and I'm like, really? I wouldn't have put that in the young reading section, and they do. Like, because I did, when I was teaching, I had to do an activity with the Year 8 kids where they had to translate, they had to alter a classic book into a picture book, and that was one of their tasks in English. And the books that were listed there, I was like, oh my God, I didn't read these until I was in like Year 10. At least not read and understand them anyway.
Yeah, do you think they're doing that based on the subject matter rather than the actual sort of reading level and language used?
Sometimes, yeah. Like some of them were like Little Women and things like that, and I was like,
I read Little Women when I was in primary school. I read it in high school.
I very specifically wanted to differentiate between being able to read it and being able to understand it.
I think I read it several times when I was, that would have been before I was in high school, and I pretty much understood what was going on. And I remember trying to read Lorna Doone as a kid and not getting anything. Like, I tried to read that book so many times because I'd been given it, and I always gave up about third of the way through, having no idea what was going on.
Yes.
And I had that at about the same time as I had Little Women, and I had The Swiss Family Robinson was one. I'm trying to think of some other things that I had. Yeah. And I was very good at just kind of skimming over stuff that, like, words that I didn't get, I just kind of went over. And I think a lot of things just from reading a lot.
I definitely agree with that. I did it with Pride and Prejudice. I started Pride and Prejudice really, really young, and it was only through rereading and just sort of accepting that I don't understand certain things that I was able to read and get to a general understanding over time.
This is way easier than Pride and Prejudice. The language.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. But like Pride and Prejudice was one of the ones on the list as well. So
Yeah. What did you say, Kirsten? You said Pride and Prejudice was what? Or you were saying what was
harder to read than Little Women.
Oh yeah. Yeah, but I suppose also I would have thought any 15 or 16-year-old could read Pride and Prejudice and be quite taken by it, and that's you know.
But I was reading. Yeah, I read Little Women when I was in primary school, and I read. I remember reading Little Women at the same time as I read things like Anne of Green Gables and Pollyanna and those sorts of books.
Yeah. See, Little Women, I find that I think I was probably 13, 14 before I felt like I could read it. Like, even though it's classic, it is, and there's some really serious subjects in it too. You know.
I think the stuff that I didn't understand from memory, I remember I always had trouble with that first little bit when they're doing that Pilgrim's Progress thing, and I was like, I don't know what the hell they're talking about here, and I remember sort of pushing through that bit and then going, oh, well, I don't know what the hell that was all about, but I kind of got the rest of it. That was
that's really when you
religious as well, because I was like, what is
this? Has anyone read any other Jules Verne?
No.
I think I started to read out Around the World in 80 Days when I was like 12, but never actually ended up reading it. I don't even have the book anymore.
Well, that's why I got this, was so that I could read more of them. So I've got the whole voyages.
How are you finding holding that up, Mel?
The book is rather heavy. It does require reading at home. But luckily, pretty much all of these books come in an ebook version for free, so I can just download them and read that way if I feel
fair enough.
I've read one book.
This was my go-to thing when I was reading when I was a kid. This is from 1995, and I still have it.
Yes, nice.
I still have Mine as well. Mine's tiny though. I've got a tiny little one. It's the same book, the same one though.
Yeah.
Tiny.
Well, this is
one.
dictionary and a thesaurus, so.
Well, that's
nice.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I've got a Macquarie bigger one that's both of them, but I never use it.
I spend way too much time on thesaurus.com in my job looking for words that mean the same thing as other words.
That's actually a good point.
I was doing that yesterday.
I don't think I've picked up a dictionary since I got an iPhone.
No, I haven't either. We've got a nice dictionary too that's on the shelf and looking pretty, but doesn't actually get used.
No.
Mm.
I use the dictionary
Yeah,
a lot
that
as
one's
a
been sitting around. I just can't bear to get rid of it, though. Why would you want
And
to get
maybe-
rid of it?
Maybe
It's
that
on
was
my
why I
reference
was
shelf. My reference shelf with all my translation dictionaries and stuff.
Yeah, I've got a German dictionary and an English dictionary on my shelf.
Yeah, I don't know where my German dictionary's gone. I think I must have picked it up and used it at some point, but it's around somewhere.
I still go get my Japanese ones every now and then when I decide to name a device, because all my devices have Japanese names, and so I go pick up the dictionary and look.
When I was a kid, my dad used to drive me really crazy because anytime I asked him what a word meant, he would say, go and look it up in the dictionary. And I understand why now, as an adult, why he used to do that, because God, it used to piss me off. But I was very good at using a dictionary, and if I was reading a book and I didn't know a word, I was quite good at just going and looking it up, because I knew it wasn't worth it to ask my dad. And I'm sure that half the reason was to teach me to use a dictionary, and half the reason was to get rid of me.
Yes.
Well,
90% to get rid of me, 10% to teach me about the dictionary.
Well, I had something similar, Kirsten, in that I'd ask my parents about a subject, whether it be, I don't know, whether it's something something scientific or I don't know, something to do with history or whatnot. And you know what their answer always was? Why don't you do a project on it? Oh God! So I had the same.
Forget it.
Yeah, I was like,
today I just go around rabbit holes of Wikipedia when I go, oh, it's just like 5 articles down. I go, what did I look up in the first place?
Yeah.
My parents went as far as actually buying the entire World Book series, and so I didn't just go look it up in the dictionary. I go look it up in the encyclopedia.
Oh, we had encyclopedias, but they weren't World Book. They were called Funk and Wagner, and you had to really say that very carefully. Go and look it up in Funk and Wagner.
I remember the Funk and Wagner as well.
I think they got them from the little stands at the supermarket.
Went as far as, I don't know if you guys ever had World Books, but you'd always get these little update ones that would come every year, and they would come with all these stickers, so that you could put the stickers on the original one so you'd know there was an update in the update ones. And I was actually the person who would go through and put all the stickers in.
I would have been that person too, Mel. I'm pedantic like that.
I end up working in a library. I don't understand.
Well, guys, I think I might go. I was only going to give myself an hour tonight, so I just wanted to say goodbye.
All right.
Good chatting.
Yeah.
Sorry for leaving early. Bye.
I just realised I need a bottle opener for my tonic water. Right, where did I put that?
I'll do that.
You can apparently talk at the same time as doing it, so that's good. Like me, I need to get myself a Bluetooth headset.
Yes, it's wonderful. I love it. Dad got my old one and he managed to fix it because my old one broke, and I'm like, well, it's like $50 and it's out of warranty. I'll just buy myself a new fancy one. If Dad can fix it, he can have mine.
Was that the one that kept crapping out on you and you'd be like going like this? And we go, we can't hear you. Was that the old one? Was it?
Yeah, that was the old one.
I remember that one. I'm glad you've upgraded.
Yeah.
So, did anybody else notice that the chapters were almost regular at length, at least for the majority of the story in the beginning?
Yeah. They were quite short
I know they
as
were
well.
all 3 minutes apparently. My Kindle kept saying 3 minutes to end a chapter.
Almost every single, well, in my version, almost every chapter was roughly 3 pages.
Right.
Mm.
Was it serialized? Does anyone know?
I froze my...
Well, that's what I was wondering.
Yeah.
He froze it. Oh dear. Oh dear.
I froze it a bit.
Oh no. I don't think any bottle opener is going to help you out.
No, I think it's all gone now. It's all good.
Yeah.
At least my wine glass is wide enough.
Yeah, I thought maybe it was serialized, and I looked it up, but nothing on Wikipedia said it was serialized, so I don't know. But it was
maybe
only
it was just
when
the style at the time.
maybe it was just the style at the time. Maybe he was just like one of those writers who sets himself a goal, and I don't know.
By the end of this chapter,
yeah,
X will happen.
and it was only when the action really got fast-paced that it started to change. And by fast-paced, I mean like the storm, I think it was. The storm was where it broke the...
Were you guys surprised at how long some of these things took? Like, it was quite interesting reading the action. As you know, today it would be action, you know, as it happened, and there weren't too many of those. Like, we had the storm, and we had the beasts. But even with the storm, it would be like, we hung on for another couple of hours. You know, it just be these kind of elongated sort of action scenes, you know, and it was like in the rushing water, and we were in another gallery. That was the other thing I thought was hilarious. We were in a gallery.
Gallery?
And, you know, it was dark, and we're hang on, and another couple of hours later, and I was thinking, God, it just, you know, I'm surprised they didn't throw themselves off the edge of the raft, how long these things took. But, you know, and then the whole rising, you know, when they were like, we're ascending. I also found that I was unsatisfied with the fact that Axel woke up and he was off the raft and on the side of a mountain.
Yeah. It's like, what happened? What?
I'm like, you know, everything else is hours of like stuff happening. I'm like, really? And then, you know, just I wanted to know, because that was the bit I was like going, so how's this going to turn out? You know, and then it never happened. I was like, oh.
If you want satisfaction on that, watch the Brendan Fraser one.
Just watch the Brendan Fraser one.
It's really cheesy and awful, but it gives you more satisfaction on certain.
And it's got that guy from the Hunger Games in it too, right? He's in it too. He plays his son.
Is he? I don't know. It's not actually Brendan Fraser's son. It's his nephew.
Well, he's old enough to have kids at age.
Yeah, no, he was old enough. It was just part of this premise of the story. In terms of the book that I was talking about, the book was from his nephew's father, his brother.
And that's not been keeping with the story. Yeah.
But yeah, that's what was interesting. Like those sorts of ties for me, I was like, oh, that's what they're doing. That's what they're doing. I was expecting there to be more ties though once the action started to start, and there were some similarities, but it really sort of went off into other areas. And this is why I'm wondering if maybe most of the movies have been based on that other version of the book that we didn't read.
The one with Harry.
The one with Harry.
Yeah, well, apparently there's a lot of stuff added to that one and changed, so it'd be a longer book at least.
I think they might have also gone, well, modern audiences won't be able to suspend the disbelief to like if they made it exactly like the book, it wouldn't maybe be a successful movie. So they've gone, we're going to have to change it and update it to modernise it, otherwise no one's going to go watch it.
Yeah,
and I'm okay with that.
And there's a lot of setups that happen in the book, like the ball lightning or whatever it was, like the beasts that had their fight. I actually thought that was kind of satisfactory, to be honest. But the ball lightning, there was the mastodons and the human being, and we never went back to that. Like there were all these things.
Yeah, an 8-foot human being, and I'm like,
I'm like, awesome. And then I thought maybe he's going to tell them stuff, and then we never went back to it. And I was like, okay, so maybe that's
good opportunity.
Yeah, like if you did that in the movie, it's going to be unsatisfactory to modern audiences, so maybe they take that further. I mean, Mel, do they take that type of thing further? Did you have some mastodons and some humans?
It's actually a very different experience in terms of the travel. In this one, right, it's a very prolonged, drawn-out travel. In the Brendan Fraser movie, at least anyway, it happens within about 3 days.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
I'd say they cram it all together, and you really don't want the first half to a third of the movie being them getting to the volcano. That's boring.
They skip over that sort of stuff. There's a whole heap of action and focus on the visuals of being in these spaces and things like that. But because unlike with this one where they've deliberately gone to go down and expecting it to be there, it's an accident for them because, of course, it's set in modern times, so they don't believe that it's there. And so it's all an accident that they get there. And so, of course, that means they're not prepared to go, which means they can't spend a long time because they don't have the supplies.
And they're more interested, I presume, in trying to get out again as opposed to trying to get to the centre of the earth. Yeah.
Which, exactly it.
Yeah, which makes, again, because I don't know about other people, but Jamie mentioned it before, I certainly felt slightly, what's the word, claustrophobic during a lot of this. I could not do this. I could not.
Oh, yeah. No.
When they said they're all crawling, I'd be like, nope, that's the point, I'm turning back.
Well, I just felt like
near the beginning.
I just felt like surely once you got there and you discovered that it's there, isn't it time to go back so that you can come back better prepared for exploring? But then I remembered like the Australian explorers and things like that. And I was like, explorers didn't work like that at all. You went and you explored and you came as prepared as you could and survived as well as you could while you were doing it. So
sometimes you died.
Explorers.
Yeah.
I need scissors. I'll be back.
And I think as well it was kind of a thing of the times of, this we're going to go and explore things and we're the Europeans and we know everything and our way is best and we don't need to listen to anything anybody else is saying and just that kind of, it was like a kind of a mix of optimism and arrogance in the way that people explored in those days,
Yeah.
We're going to dominate this whole place and we're going to, I don't know, get that impression from lots of explorer type stories.
And I think you've got a good point there about the arrogance, because there was also that arrogance on a lot of these boats that we will find land and we will find things that we can eat, we will find fresh water. They took enough, but certainly that's why things like scurvy happened and why people, ended up, dying of dehydration. And I suspect that's what you see in this book is there's just, again, that arrogance and that presumption, well, we'll find things to eat. I mean, they did. They found fish, apparently, and, spring water. But, yeah, I think you've kind of pinned the nail on the donkey there, Kirsten.
Yeah, well, reading stuff about real historical explorers, and yeah, like Burke and Wills is the one that comes to mind. And now we're all like, oh yeah, we're going to do this thing, and we don't need to. Like, I don't know, just they seemed underprepared, and yeah, and like, oh yeah, we can do this. It's not going to be that hard, and I don't know. And we don't need to listen to those Aboriginals. What will they know?
Yeah.
What will they know? They've just lived here all their lives.
Yeah. I don't know.
And a lot of these things were, I mean, they weren't for the glory of necessary of finding new places. A lot of them were sponsored specifically for reasons, as we did find out in Australia. They needed to get people out of England and that type of thing, and also that kind of world dominance. And so there was often, the brief for them wasn't necessarily about exploring and finding things, but you need to fulfill what the brief of this job is, and this job is to find this type of land or find these type of things. Exactly. Find gold. Find me a place that I can send all the prisoners of this land that I don't want anymore. So I think that often did affect their preparation and their arrogance. But perhaps some of it wasn't arrogance. It was just that we're not going to get paid if we don't get this sorted or find what we need to find. I mean, that was half the problem with the whole Antarctica thing when they were looking for the Great Southern Land, and they got stuck down there because they wouldn't believe it didn't exist because they were being paid to find it. And,
Oh, that was the same with Columbus. Like, if you read about Columbus and discovering America and all that, and he was like, "No, I'm totally in Asia. I'm totally in Asia. This is India. This is oh look here, this is totally pepper." And he sent back chilies, and they were like, "This is not pepper. It's spicy, but it's not pepper." And he said, "No, that's just pepper." And he was like, not only was he thought like he was trying to find Asia, but he thought he'd landed in Asia. and then he sent back a bunch of shit to try and convince them that he was in Asia.
Mm.
And
because that's what he'd been set out to do, was to prove that
Yeah.
he could go around the other way to Asia. So that's the brief of the journey. That's what the Queen has paid me to do. I must, you know, like, you see it all the time. I mean, and actually you do see it. You see it with scientists who actually, they've spent their life trying to fulfill this hypothesis, and when it doesn't turn out, they often fake the results because it can't be true that this is not right. I can't have devoted, you know, this many years of my life. I can't be the laughing stock of this. So, it must be. It's still a real thing.
And it's not, and also from the paid side, scientists who are paid to find the right results so a company can say things the way they want to say it.
That's right. Yeah, American tobacco.
Yeah, exactly what I was
Autism,
Just about anything.
Yes.
I love the statement that's on some muesli bars my dad bought. It says, loaded with energy. Yeah, loaded with sugar.
yeah,
It's energy.
It is.
Well,
Yeah, it's like that's an advertiser's.
the interesting one I've been
We're not even
discovering.
lying to you.
Yeah.
The interesting one that I've been discovering lately is the lie about us getting calcium from milk. You know that? Calcium's in milk, but we can't absorb it.
Oh, interesting.
There's been multiple studies on it now, and it basically, we don't, there's this big thing that the dairy companies are still sort of trying to convince us that we absorb milk, but in fact humans are naturally lactose intolerant after around about the age 5, and it's only a small percentage of us who can drink milk the way some of us drink milk without having some sort of reaction. It's just varying degrees, and the whole calcium thing is not true either. So.
Oh, I did know that we do get more calcium from green leafy vegetables. I had heard that's really where we should be getting our calcium and why we need it. So I had heard that, but I hadn't heard that we can't even absorb it from milk. So that's interesting. But don't tell me I have to be like, because I need the cheese, Mel. I need the cheese.
No. This is the interesting thing. Like, the thing that I saw about it was really good because it was very balanced. In that he said very clearly, I'm not telling you not to eat and enjoy dairy products. I'm just letting you know that the argument for the fact that you get calcium out of it is not there.
Which is not what I'm eating them for.
You're taking away my excuse to drink milkshakes.
Yeah.
When I'm convincing myself that, yes, I know it's got a lot of sugar and fat in it, but at least I'm getting some calcium out of it. Because drinking
Have you seen my Roquefort and my triple cream, my triple cream brie? I'm sure we can tell about these as well.
Well, I can feel better about never drinking milk when I was a kid. Because I hated it. Well, my parents always bought skim milk. And I drink quick and Milo.
Well, that was it. That's how I used to consume it. And my mum was always okay with it. I would get, have Milo. You guys have Milo? Yeah. And I just spoon it in. We didn't get quick because that would go like that. Quick.
Yeah.
And the Milo seemed to go a lot further. So she'd buy that and I would scoop it into it. I remember my grandmother saying to her, she's like, I ain't worried about her drinking that. It's full of sugar. And she's like, if it gets fluid into her and gets milk into her, like the whole calcium argument, then I'm okay with it. So, yeah.
I still think you probably get more nutrition from milk than you would from, say, cordial or, something else that you'd be getting your kids to drink,
Yeah.
Like the argument it's in that, I remember watching that Jamie Oliver thing about American school lunches and stuff, and they had all the flavored milk, and they were like, well, at least they're drinking milk, and they won't drink it if we have plain milk. So their idea of it was that, well, it's worth it for them to have the milk because at least they're getting the milk, even though one of those little things of milk had as much sugar in it as a can of Coke. They were like, well, that doesn't matter because they're still getting the milk.
Yeah.
But,
it doesn't quite work that way. But I was actually very skeptical when I
day and double things and But I actually watched the Jamie Oliver and Hannah Hart YouTube video before the hangout.
Yeah, I watched that
really good.
days ago.
I was really skeptical when I.
Sorry,
Mel.
I was just going to say, I was really skeptical when I heard about the milk thing because it was actually a vegan friend who told me, and I was like, I don't think this is true, but I've actually gone off and there's quite a few things. Have you guys ever heard of healthcare triage on YouTube?
Yeah. That's a Block Brothers thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
Is it?
And
Oh, it is too. Is it part of? Is it part of their? It's part of their healthcare insurance channel thing. Ah, yes, I know the one. Yep.
Yeah, well, he does a thing on it, and it's actually pretty conclusive.
Wow.
So,
Is there anything we get?
I know a lot of people who don't drink who drink a lot of lactose-free milks and rice milks and soy milks now because they just can't handle a lot of people and I guess maybe it's just getting into our 30s now. Everyone's sort of like, oh, I can't drink that anymore. I can't eat that anymore. A lot of people are becoming saying that lactose really upsets them.
Saying that, do you know how much sugar is in soy milk and well, I don't know about almond milk, but I know in soy milk the amount of sugar in it is quite huge.
Really? That's
really that much sugar in there? I still drink skim milk.
Yeah, because when I was working as barista and I used to have 3 sugars in my coffee. This is like coming up 20 years ago, which was a huge amount of sugar. I basically weaned myself off having sugar in coffees because I switched to soy milk, and I would say it had a nutty flavour, and it was lovely. And it's because there's so much, I didn't need as much sugar, and I weaned myself off it, and then I switched to normal milk and I remember looking and going, holy, someone, I was like, there's so much sugar in this. So yes, the lactose, but 2, there's, it don't, again, it's to, like Mel's point, don't think that people are being healthier by substituting the milk, dairy milk for, a vegetable milk.
The same thing goes for low GI products or GI gluten-free products. People think that if they go gluten-free that they're going healthier, and in actual fact, most gluten products, they put a whole heap of sugar in it to make it taste good.
Right.
It's the same with the low fat as well. So much sugar in it. My doctor even said that you should just have the normal yogurts or milk and thing because there's too much sugar in there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah, and I do that actually, Olivia. That's again, I realised that about the yogurts that I like. Apparently, the natural yogurts, and I actually would compare them, going, oh, no wonder I like this one more. There's so much freaking sugar in it. So and I started getting more aware of that. And I like tart sugar anyway. Tart yogurt anyway. It's just more enjoyable for me. So, and I would often get them like, what? Why is this so sweet? So yeah.
I'm the same. I figure too, if I'm going to have something, then I may as well eat the real deal and just have the correct portion of it.
Absolutely.
Now I'm wondering about rice milk. What's rice milk like?
I think it should
the healthiest rice milk.
I think it,
I basically just try not to drink glasses of milk anymore. I figure I can have it in my tea.
I don't do that anyway.
Well, you'll be fine then.
Pretty much have milk in my coffee and sometimes in my tea if I have black tea.
I'm terrible. I love dairy so much.
Me too.
I love dairy, but I'm not too keen on milk.
But I figure if I'm going to, because I think I'm one of those people who's noticing that I've actually for years had upset tummies from eating dairy and just never thought it was dairy, and I've just sort of cutting back slowly and trying to have only dairy that I really want to have. So I'm not having a glass of milk because I would prefer to have the tub of yogurt, that sort of thing.
Right. Well, it's just got acidophilus in it and stuff. Yeah.
If I'm hungry and can't be bothered eating anything, I'll often have a glass of milk because it fills me up, and I'll go, yep, that'll do, instead of bothering to eat something. But if there's nothing in the house I want to eat, I'll just have a glass of milk. Maybe some butter.
I especially would do it like when I'm just sort of tiding myself over. It's an hour before dinner, and I'm like, oh, I'm just feeling so hungry. I'll just have a glass of milk, and that'll tide me over, sort of thing.
I'd be interested to know about the research about it for, like you were saying, from 5 upwards or something. Because the child health nurse says to give cow's milk, like Xander can have cow's milk now. So he has cow's milk in his cereal and stuff, even though he's still breastfed, but I'm not bothering to pump that. That's too much like effort.
You should watch the healthcare triage thing because they link to all of their research and everything that that they're talking about and stuff. So he talks about, like I said, it's a very balanced presentation. It's not a, I'm not talking to a vegan or an anti-dairy person or anything. And they link to all of the research. And what surprised me was how much research there was to say it actually doesn't work. I was like, this is not just a couple of different reports that have recently come out. This is something that's been around for years and in the research.
Well, all the nutritional information I can find for rice milk says 0 sugar.
Oh, that's good.
Well, I found the thing about it's 4.7 grams per 128. That's the nutritional info, so it's pretty good compared to other. I'll look up soy milk.
Of course, it gets on what kind of rice you buy as well. Because this is unsweetened.
Health club.
Yep. Well, the other thing, one of the things my friend's getting for her partner, because her husband, because he's found that he's pretty lactose intolerant now, he has problems with a lot of foods, is Zymil. So they're pretty good on the Zymil milk because that's lactose free. It's good. Give it to a person who really has trouble with it, and then you can tell if it's any good or not. I've got him testing out. He's trying to get off the nutritionist. He's saying wants him to try and get off of gluten-free, go gluten-free as well as much as he can. And so he's going to go to Dan Murphy's and probably buy the couple of gluten-free beers that are there. So,
That is the hard one.
Yeah, and there's a cider as well, so gluten-free cider. See what that's like.
I could never go gluten-free because you can't have soy sauce, and I love that stuff. So
pretty much anything. I love. I could not give up my goods at all, and it'd be so hard.
Yeah. You can use, I'm saying that there are things that I will do gluten-free and they're actually better. So gluten-free pizza bases are often really, really good because they're very thin. The other thing that I do that I think is nicer is when I bake cupcakes, I use gluten-free flour, and they make better cupcakes than regular. And they're really light and fluffy and moist. And I did it because I knew someone who was gluten intolerant. So I thought for Christmas, I'll make her some cupcakes because she doesn't get these treats. And I did some extra ones for us, and she was like, "Oh, these are phenomenal." I'm like, "These are freaking great. These are much better than ones." So I do them. I tend to do that now, and I think it's because it might be part corn flour, but it's really
almond
you get rice flour
and gluten-free things.
Yeah.
And someone was telling me there was a girl saying my friend's friend said she just buys her and her husband are both just completely gluten-free, and they buy rice flour, and she said it's actually cheaper than normal flour, so you just have to go to different stores. Yeah. Well, where she was getting it was cheaper than normal flour. It is as cheap as normal flour in the supermarket, so it's like you may as well just buy the rice flour.
Yeah. Yeah. Hey, I get rice flour. I've got some here. I think I've used it for like when I do chips and things. It's good for coating them to get them crispy.
Yeah.
For that, yeah.
I was trying to think. I know rice flour is used in something that I couldn't think of what it was, but that might have been what it was, like battering, coating things in it to deep fry and make them go nice and crunchy.
Well,
tempura batter, maybe rice flour.
Tempura batter.
Tempura.
Yeah. And that actually, Mel, that's a question you can answer. Panko flakes. You know what they're made of? Because they're really nice. And they're good. You use them instead of breadcrumbs, and I didn't know if they're.
Actually, I couldn't tell you what they're made of. Actually,
I made crab cakes last night with them. They were excellent.
Yeah, I'd say Google it because I couldn't tell you. I'm sorry. I haven't actually used them personally to make something, and so I never really looked.
If it loads.
It's still regular bread.
It's made from bread without crust.
Oh, really?
Really? Just made from the bread. Yeah, or it says that's the biggest difference.
Wow, I didn't think that would make that much of a difference. But
And they tend to stay crispier longer than standard breadcrumbs.
They seem quite different.
well, that's something to think of next time I'm making my own breadcrumbs.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I always thought the
is pretty.
crusts would be better for the breadcrumbs. I always go, oh, I'll make sure I use lots of crust in the breadcrumbs.
So yeah, apparently the non-crust is better.
Might give them more.
My mum has used panko in place of other breadcrumbs, and they do come out. Things do come out better.
Yeah, I used them in a Thai crab cake recipe yesterday, and they came out great. I actually had to add some normal breadcrumbs as well because I just ran out. But they really helped, and I coated them in the panko breadcrumbs, and they they were fantastic.
Maybe it's got to do with the consistency, because like I know I've made my own breadcrumbs, and when I did it with the parts that came out from the crust were always like a different consistency, and I didn't mind that because I was just crumbing chicken, and to me that was like, just nice differences in the crumb and stuff. But maybe that consistency helps to get a better result.
Yeah, apparently they're electrocuted.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I'm not. Yeah, there's a video, Huffington Post, of course, because that's it's a bastion of knowledge.
Of course.
Apparently, it says here, Alton Brown is going to tell you about the bizarre method by which these breadcrumbs are made. They're electrocuted. Maybe like popcorn or something. You know how popcorn kind of gets that fluffy. Anyway, I popped it up in the chat box. So
I suppose that'd be a way to get them sort of crispy, but not, without frying them or.
Oh, sorry, I'm just laughing at the fact that we've gone from talking about a book to health issues, and now we're
Health issues to breadcrumbs.
This is us.
I know, I'm just laughing at it. It's just hilarious. It's always us. And not only that, we're recording it for posterity.
Oh, yeah.
You want to know about breadcrumbs? Just
sugar and products, calcium, God. Now, can I ask a question? Because, okay, so this is completely not on the topic of breadcrumbs or anything. This is back on my Nobu Totoro.
Okay.
I read after I watched it, and then I rewatched it because I was interested to see how it played out, and I can see where this comes from. But have you guys heard about that conspiracy theory that actually, who hasn't seen this before I spoil anything? Everyone's seen it. Okay, cool. But that conspiracy theory that basically both the girls have actually passed away at the end.
What?
I have not heard that before.
No, I hadn't heard that.
Because there's something about the shoe.
Yeah, there's a shoe. And then she asked Cat Bus to take her there, and you can tell me, Mel, because you actually read Japanese, and apparently the bus, when the Cat Bus turns up and it changes, it says Grave Road on it, and then why is May sitting in Grave Road with all the graves? And apparently it's because she's passed on. And then they're sitting in the tree outside the parents, and yeah, so
I can't say Grave Road, it says May.
Well, there you go. See, thank you. You've already busted the theory.
It says May, and then when they pick up May, it changes over to something or other Bjorn, which is the hospital.
See, they already was like, thank you. That's why I was hoping you could bust that, because I was a little bit like, it's sad.
Yeah, someone's definitely pulling a whole heap of people's legs there.
Yeah. Oh, someone posted the other day on Reddit, and someone shared it to Facebook. It's like the official Rickroll video has finally been taken down. Guess what happened?
Because there was a
whole lot of people got Rickrolled.
Yeah.
Because that's what everybody did. Click through to see if it was really gone.
Yeah.
And it wasn't. I was so good. I'm like,
they were like, oh, I'm so stupid.
And they're like, people commented like, I clicked on it and I went, oh, look, it's come back up. Watch about half of it. Oh.
You got Rickrolled.
I love getting Rickrolled because I love it when people actually fool me that good. I'm like, oh, seriously, I had no idea this was going to be a Rickroll.
I just like the song.
Yeah, well, that's part of the thing.
How many years ago was that a thing?
I was around when that song came out, and it was a good song.
It's still a good song. We played it at our wedding.
Oh, there you go. My
Everyone
sister
came to
owned
dance
Miss
floor.
Ashley Payne.
Good song. Yeah. And I know all the words.
I think everyone does now.
But not by choice. My sister used to play the tape over and over.
Oh,
Yeah.
there was a Bruno Mars song on the radio today, and I started walking down the hallway at work singing it. I'm like, I didn't even realise I knew the words to this song. What the? It's like it's been played that much on the radio that when I'm at work, it's actually infiltrated my brain, and I actually knew the lyrics without actually knowing that I knew them.
Yeah, I usually do that with a song that I really don't want to know the words to, like Word Lines. And I'm like, oh, shit.
Well, they played it so much, it just couldn't escape it. What was it? I was
now there's the Weird Al one.
Yeah, the Weird Al one.
That one, yeah.
The problem is the Weird Al one is that I don't. The lyrics to that one are considerably harder.
Which is the song he's done? Is it that?
It's called Word Crimes.
Word Crimes. He did
Crimes,
one.
that's it, yeah.
People do all the wrong things in English.
Yeah. I remember. That's an annoying song because it's catchy and I don't want to be dancing to it, you know?
I need a shirt that says, I'm not humming blurred lines, it's Word Crimes. Guys, I've got to take this, I'm sorry, I'll be right back.
Alright.
I thought she was playing as Word Crimes. I was like,
Yeah.
That sounds like some kind of
Gotta
pop
listen to it.
song. Let it
It's the
play.
Japanese version of Word Crimes.
I have to show you guys what my husband bought. Hang on a second, I'll be back.
No one talk until Sarah's back.
You already stuffed it up.
Should we all just like stay really still so she thinks that we've all frozen?
We're all frozen. Just like in mid
Okay,
something
try that.
like.
Sorry about that, guys.
That's alright. Sarah's just gone to get something that her husband got.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
She is.
Everybody has to take care of themselves. A friend of mine had a stroke. It's very bad. Everyone take care of themselves.
Yeah, that's not good.
No. She's 35 and she had a stroke.
Wow.
Yeah. Anyway, sorry to bring it down. What's the thing we're seeing?
Saga!
Oh!
Look at my husband bought, like real ones.
These are the new issues, isn't it?
Because I was like, wow, we'd have got them. This is a really good
Yeah, as soon as I saw that cover, I've seen the cover for that issue already. I'm like,
I haven't read them yet. Haven't read them yet.
No, neither have I.
Waiting for the next collection.
Yeah, that's right.
I'm waiting for the next collection because Matt said I have to wait for the next.
not allowed to buy the issues again.
They're just not enough. They're just not enough on their own. But Kevin bought them, and so I'm going to wait for a couple more, and then I'll read them.
Well, it's halfway through now. I think 3 of them are out of the 6, so we're getting.
So I've got another one I can get. Okay, cool.
But yeah, I'm the same. My problem is that if I read one, it's just going to create that awful feeling at the end each time where I really need the next one, and it's going to be worse because I've only gotten this much instead of this much, and I'm like, no, you're waiting. Yeah. You have to wait.
Yeah. It's just unsatisfactory.
Yeah.
Yeah. Look, and I'm the same. Like I'm a binge person. Like I'm the same way with television programs. I'm like
That's exactly it. That's it. I can't stand watching one a week at the moment. Does anybody else watch the Great British Bake Off?
Oh,
I've
I was
heard of it.
watching
I've heard
that.
of it.
It was
Bits of it.
on when it was on TV. I was watching it. The last one. Is it
I've
back
watched
on
it.
normal TV, or do you have to have like Foxtel, or do you have to download it?
I'm watching it online. I don't download it. I just stream it. But I watch it online, and I'm a very naughty person. But we are obsessed with that show. So but it's just started the next season, and so it's every single episode, one a week. And I'm like, because every time we've watched it, we've always watched it in these binge watches. This is the first time I have to wait, and it's hard.
Yeah.
Everyone knows what's on Sunday morning on Foxtel and on iView on Sunday. No.
What?
No.
Oh, Doctor Who!
Doctor Who! It's
Doctor Who!
It's simulcasting on Foxtel, and I'm like, I didn't plan to actually come home. Like, I was going to go out Saturday and come home Sunday, but if it's on at 4 something in the morning on Foxtel, I kind of want to.
You can just stay up, Kim.
This night we'll get up and sneak into the lounge room and watch it.
Oh, I take it you're not going to the cinemas to see it then, because it's being played in the cinemas as well.
Oh my God, really? Wow. That would actually be a really amazing experience.
Though, like,
But it's going to be on iView all day, so on ABC Online channel, and then it's going to play again at like 8:40 in the evening on Sunday.
I'm just going to do that. I think my thing is Doctor Who is a TV show. I don't really want to see it at the cinemas. It's a TV show.
Yeah, but it could be an amazing experience to see it with everybody else who's fans, if you know what I mean.
Well, if I was going to do it, I would have done it when they did it for the 50th or something along those lines.
Yeah. Okay. This would be cool.
See, that's something I can binge watch because I've never watched Doctor Who.
I used to so binge watch it.
I know, but we've got so many things. Like, I mean, not that much time to watch things. We're still trying to get through Farscape.
I actually started Outlander, and I surprisingly didn't mind it, considering how much I hated the book.
Yeah, at least you managed to read. I couldn't remember, I didn't even get into it. Like, I was like,
well, I didn't get
paying for the thing. I was like, why didn't I just get the sample chapter? Why did I buy this?
Yeah, I really didn't like it, and I didn't do much more than that. And then I sort of thought, I'll skim through a few pages and see if I can get into it, but I couldn't. And so I thought, I don't even know why I watched it, but I did. And
it's coming over a bit better.
I think I'm going to watch the second episode.
The second episode just came out. So.
Yeah, I should have watched it today, but
I could have been watching it tonight, but I came to talk to you guys instead.
Oh, I feel the love. I feel the love.
And I actually like the books too, so it's not.
But they seem to have done a really good job, like a la Song of Ice and Fire. They've actually managed to do a reasonable translation of it. Whether I'll like it long term is a whole other matter. But
it's interesting. It's not like Song of Ice and Fire in that the books, even though the books are probably just as long, there's so much crap that happens in them, and you kind of go, I reckon they could do 3 seasons of a show on the first book. And there's, I don't know how many books are out, but they could do, I mean, obviously they won't, they'll probably cut a bunch of stuff, but just from thinking back of how many different things happen.
Yeah.
And it goes over such a longer time, like in the last book, the most recent one I haven't read, but the one before that, they're like in their 50s, the people. So, like the amount of time that it spans is huge. So it'll be very interesting to see how long they keep the show going, whether it just gets cancelled or whether they try and, how many books in they go in or what they do.
I think it'll really depend on how successful it is, but it's nice. Like, I mean, they've been saying the same sorts of things about Sherlock, about the fact that they really like the fact that rather than being an ordinary show, they only do 3 episodes a year. And they can see them actually going for quite a few years because they're not trying to, they're working around their schedules and they're not trying to do a whole heap within a short period of time. So
depends on very typical of British series at least. Well,
British
usually they do
series
6 at least, but.
Well, they're not as tied to doing everything in a exact kind of manner. They're willing to be flexible. I mean, the simple fact that the episodes are as long as they are, those sorts of things, they're basically mini movies.
Yeah, so it's because I haven't actually watched Sherlock. Is it based?
No, I haven't either.
I know. I'm going to get that.
Watch Sherlock. You will be a member.
I don't watch Doctor Who. I watched Doctor Who as a kid, but I'm not getting into it now. There are too many things on the list. But Sherlock, I probably will get into at some point. Are they basically like a mini series? So there's basically 3 movies, and like is it basically a story that takes place over 3 episodes, but each episode's 2 hours long? Is that kind of what it's like?
So essentially, there's 3 episodes. Each one is its own mystery that goes for an hour and a half. So it's like a movie, but then there's also usually a bit of a overarching theme for that season as well.
Okay. So there are some kind of so there is an arc through. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, it's episodic with the whole overarching thing in the middle of it.
Yeah. But,
Which I like.
And I think it actually, as much as I know that, like, BBC actually imposed this time on them, they said that they had to do it in this length of time, and so they expanded the scripts. But I think it's the best thing that, I think BBC was so smart to do it because it works better this way, I think.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if it's true or not, but apparently, I was listening to Answer Me This. I don't know if anyone else listens to that podcast. It's awesome, by the way. You guys got me tonight, Mel. You have to listen to Answer Me This. It's very cool.
I will look into it.
It's with three Brits. Helen and Ollie are like the two Brits who kind of run it, and Helen's husband Martin is also on it. He's the sound man. They mic'd him up because he said he'll just talk in the background and no one will hear him, so he better mic him up.
Right.
Okay. But they answer questions from their fans, and they've been going for about 9 years. But they were talking about pilots and why a pilot of a series is called a pilot. Anyway, they were talking, and Helen started saying that about Sherlock. Apparently, they filmed the first thing, and BBC said it's got potential, but you can do this so much better. And they told them to redo it. I don't know if that's true or not, but I think that's
I've actually seen the pilot. I've seen the pilot because it came with the first season when I purchased it, and the pilot is an hour, and you can definitely see the improvement that they made. It was a massive improvement, and not just in terms of how they told the story. That was incredibly improved. But even how Martin Freeman and Benedict Cumberbatch play the two roles and how they bounce off each other, it's markedly better. And I've heard some people say that they really enjoy watching the pilot. I'm like, I only like watching it so I can see how much better they do it.
Because apparently, there's the pilot just kind of standalone, and then there was like episode 1, which was completely new and fresh. Because they'd said that the original pilot never got screened or got scrapped, and they redid it from a.
They redid the whole thing, but you can definitely see that the storyline's in there, but they've reworked how it was solved. And
nice, yeah.
But it's still, like, every single one is still a standalone. So this one, as the pilot is a standalone of itself. But there's also the arc that happens within the first season that goes over the top of the 3 episodes. So, and some of them that you see more of that arc, and some of them you don't see much of it at all. So
maybe it's worth checking out. Although I'm thinking about checking out Orange is the New Black as well, because that's like,
there's good things about that too.
Well, at least with Sherlock, there's not that many episodes to catch up with.
That's what I'm thinking. That's what I'm thinking. And we're going to do Mad Men at some point, but we have to be in the mood for Mad Men.
Yeah.
So,
at the end of Sherlock, you'll just be dying for more. It's just incredible. So I was really skeptical. I didn't think
you'll know why Bonnie's so in love.
I was going to say, am I going to turn into a Cumberbatch?
Yeah.
Funny.
I'm totally. I wouldn't go that I'm that far, but I'm obsessed with the show. I'm not obsessed with the actor, if that makes sense. Although Benedict Cumberbatch is definitely very, very good in the role.
What do you think Orphan Black?
Sorry, Olivia, I missed that.
Have you seen Orphan Black? Yeah.
No.
I've heard good things about that too.
Yeah, that's good.
In fact, I actually think I'll watch
It's
Orphan Black.
hilarious because it's one actress playing all these different roles.
Oh, really? Yeah, that's why I want to see it. I think I want to see that more than I want to see Orange is the New Black.
She's amazing.
As much as, of course,
I saw the promo for this. This looks awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, it's really good. So, basically she's lots of clones, so they're all exactly the same. They look
It's Canadian
all exactly
and it's science fiction. Canadians do good science fiction.
And she's winning all of the awards because of her playing all of the roles and everything. So.
Yeah.
Nice.
As you'd expect.
Like the episode of X-Files, it was one of my favourite episodes where there was the 2 girls who killed their parents at the same. Does anyone remember this episode?
Yeah.
And it turns out they were they were clones, and they met the other people.
That was so creepy.
It was creepy.
Man, they did creepy little kids were well.
Yeah. It was a good episode.
That was only in the first season.
We just knew.
Wasn't even the
first season.
It might have been first season.
It's episode 6 or 7.
See, speaking of pilots, I accidentally caught the first episode of X-Files when I was supposed to be studying, and my brother and I were hooked, and I thought it had been a series that had been playing for a while. And I found out later that was the first episode. I'm like, what is this thing? This is awesome.
I remember watching the first episode of The X-Files.
Mm.
I did not want to watch it because my mum and my brother were watching it and they said, no, watch it. And I was like, no, this is too scary for me. I cannot watch this show. And I became like the most crazy X-Files fan ever. Like,
my first episode was that one with that really weird dude. He had about 3 episodes. He was underneath the elevator or something, and he was really
Tombs, that's him. Yeah,
there was 2 episodes with him in it.
Yeah. I that's the first episode I watched, and I was like, I don't know if I can do this show, but totally got it.
Yeah.
I think one of the first ones I watched was the big stretchy guy.
Which guy?
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
Tombs.
the same episode. Yeah,
that is Tombs. Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
We are
Eugene
like
Victor Tombs.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Not that Kirsten and I are, almost encyclopedic X-Files fans or anything.
Not that you belong to a special club where you watch the episodes and talk to people about them.
Yeah.
Well, if there's any, I've got one. I've got 2 shows, complete seasons: Ab Fab and MacGyver. I have every episode.
MacGyver is awesome.
I remember when I was little, it was on after my bedtime, and I actually sneak up, open the lounge room doors about that much and watch it through the door. I'd always get caught, but I think Mum eventually was like, sometimes just went, you know what, just let him watch it.
Yeah. It used to be on Friday nights in New Zealand. Friday nights in New Zealand for kids, was awesome on television because they would put things like MacGyver and the A-Team and Crazy Like a
Knight
Fox
Rider.
and Knight Rider. It was awesome.
Rider.
You were so excited about the television lineup on Friday nights because it was all for kids. Like, it was all like action stuff because anybody who could drink was obviously out.
Kids and their parents.
When I was a kid, I never had any say in what was on the TV. So I grew up watching stuff like Burke's Backyard and Bush Tucker Man, because that was what my dad liked to watch.
Oh, yeah.
We had a lot of
Television
television.
Bush Tucker Man, the Leyland Brothers.
Yes, the Leyland Brothers. Oh my god. No, that's how that peeking through the thing is how I started watching Star Wars. I was far too young for it. My dad was watching it late at night.
How old were you?
And I probably was about 3 or 4.
Oh, okay, that is young. I thought you were going to say like 8 or 9. I'm like, that's the right age.
That's the right age.
No, when I was about 8 or 9, I was saying to my dad, "There's this movie I remember, and I really want to watch it again because it was so good. And it was lots of snow and these big tall things that were walking. What's the movie, Dad?" And Star Wars was reintroduced to me again.
Yeah. I remember the first time it was on because it was on television, and Dad was like really excited that we were old enough to see it. He's like, "This is going to be this great movie on telly, kids. I totally think you guys need to see it." We're like, yeah. And actually, it was awesome. We were totally hooked.
I wish my dad would have liked Star Wars because he would have been like, "Oh, what are you watching that shit for?"
But it's all right. You married a man who loves Star Wars to make up for it. It's so good.
I think Kirsten hadn't actually seen them until
I'd seen bits of it, but I'd never actually sat down and watched the whole thing. Like I'd seen it when it was on TV as a kid, and kind of watched the first half, and then Mum and Dad had made me go to bed and stuff like that. So I don't think I ever saw it all the way through until I met Matt.
Right. Well, my husband never saw them either. In fact, he saw the prequels before he saw the first 3.
And he went, "Oh, this suddenly got good."
So, so that I don't know what the hell happened. I mean, his dad's a bit of a dick anyway, so obviously that's why. And his mum was never into sci-fi and fantasy, so that's probably where that all fell over. But he saw the prequels first when he was a teenager. And and then his friends in university were just like, "You need to see these films."
Yeah. Dude, got to get educated.
Yeah, one of the guys I know was showing it to one of his female friends who had never seen it, and they're like, "We're starting with episode 1 because, well, you just have to." It's like,
the prequel.
we're going to make her watch all of them in order.
Have you guys seen that thing where that guy tells you what order to actually watch it in so that it works out better?
Oh.
I did hear once.
What, so that you watch the good ones before and the bad ones last, or you watch them?
No. I think he breaks it up. So he goes, you watch episode 4, and then you watch episode 1, or anyway, it's some sort of weird order, but it works. Like when he explains why, you're like,
it's all over the place.
that's excellent. That works. It still doesn't make up for all of the defects, but it helps.
Yeah.
That's like me watching Enterprise is the first series of Star Trek that I watched.
That would not be good either. You've got to watch.
See, that's what my dad used to watch when I was little. That I used to watch with him was, of course, the original Star Trek.
Sorry, I think it's hailing, or it hailed at some point.
Oh, really?
Well,
maybe it's just bubbles from the skylight. I don't know. It just looks weird. Anyway,
you guys getting that excessive rain that they predicted?
Oh.
Apparently, yes.
Because we need more rain.
It hasn't rained so long, but it's just like, it doesn't rain at all. But yeah.
We had rain and now we've got wind.
We've got the wind.
I thought the patio roof was going to blow off today. If you can see it going like rippling, it's freaking me out.
Yeah. I was going to say, hi, Jay!
I think my mic's dead.
No,
you're okay.
When you popped up before and said something, I was like, oh my god, how long have you been in the room? I didn't even notice you coming.
I've been fiddling with it for the last 10 minutes because when I came in, it's like, your mic is not working. I'm like, what?
Mine
Apparently it is.
I finished. Yay!
Oh, cute.
Now I just need to make
What is that?
Oh.
Should put a little baby dancing Groot in there.
That's exactly what I'm doing.
Is that a crocheted pot plant?
Yeah, it's a crocheted pot. It's a terracotta pot.
That is cute.
I made the whole thing while we've been doing this hangout.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
Multitasking. Yeah.
It's not sewn together yet. You can see I've still got cords going off it, but yeah, all the bits are there. So now I've just got to make a Groot, but I need extra supplies for the Groot. I need pipe cleaners and things, so. I'm so totally going to have a Groot. If they won't bloody give me something to buy, I'll make my own.
I can't believe they won't. They just haven't gotten to it yet. Surely you'll be able to buy one. Sorry,
They're waiting till all the hype gets so bad and people will pay whatever they put them out for.
There is a make room somewhere.
Yeah, there's one company that's doing it, but you have to spend like $300, $400 on these other figurines and you get it as an extra. And I'm like, no.
No, you buy those, those dancing flowers in the pot?
Yeah.
And then you just pull them to pieces and make them into a Groot instead.
Oh, that's awesome.
You have to have the right song, and I'm not going to have the right song, so I thought I'd just make a stationary one. It'll cost a lot less money.
Still cute. Yeah.
It's still gorgeous. He just won't move, and that's okay because he'll have pipe cleaner arms, and I can move them for him.
That's right. Stop motion animation.
Yeah. I'll do a GIF.
Yeah, and then you can.
I've been watching so much Robot Chicken lately.
The art assignment for the make your own GIF.
Yeah, I was going to do that. I even started doing it, and then I never kind of finished it.
Oh, yeah. I was going to do the most quiet place one, and then I just never. Yeah, I could never find anything with quiet. I went, I'm going to film now, but I should have just done like what John Green did, and he just was like, I'm in an airport, so I'm just going to try and find the quietest place here. I should have just done the same thing like at work. I'm at work. I'm going to try and find a quiet place. So I think that one really appealed to a lot of people. They had a lot of
I don't have that problem. I've got like a whole room that's designed for me to be as a quiet space. So.
Yeah, I've got a studio that's like soundproofed, so.
Oh, cool.
Very quiet.
We have a baby, so quiet place.
There's no quiet.
When he's asleep.
Quiet place.
Okay, seriously, guys, should I make the little rim bit thicker, or should I leave it at that?
I think it looks good like that.
Yeah, I think it looks good like that.
Okay.
What do you mean sticker? What, like another row?
Yeah, another row for the rim going up.
Nah, don't worry about that. That looks good like
I
that.
think it looks good like that.
it's one of those things, you know, because I'm not following a pattern. I'm just sort of going on the aesthetic. So, you know, opinions help.
Cool.
There we go. So next time I can show you guys my group.
Yay!
Already
Now
got the
you give
colour.
yourself pressure. It has to be done by the next hangout.
Well, considering how fast this was, I'm actually kind of impressed. So I'm sort of like, yeah, I'm going to get
Yeah,
that
you
done.
did that pretty quick.
Yeah, I only had like that much of it done before we started, so that's how much was done, and then I've done the rest of it in the whole time. So, and this is actually 2 parts, so this I've actually got more underneath there. So.
Oh.
Question. Who's read? What are we doing? Sorry, I'm looking for when we're doing it. Yeah. What's the Android Lovin' book?
Oh, it's Silver Medal Lover.
Silver.
Oh, the Silver Medal Lover. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, that's the one we're reading.
Not to be confused with Silver Medal Lover, which
Oh,
I
yes.
thought it was.
I kept
He's
saying,
like,
oh,
he's like the
that
second
silver
best
medal
lover.
lover.
He was not. He didn't win. He was like just okay.
Not the gold medal winning, the silver medal.
You don't quite deserve the gold there.
This is funny. And how's everyone think?
What's the question?
Oh, doing?
It's only $3. It doesn't cost that much.
Oh,
I quite enjoyed it. I thought it was quite good. It was a lot better than I expected. I thought it would be really cheesy, and it's actually really quite an interesting coming of age kind of story.
Just do the hangout now, why don't you?
No, I'm just saying.
He keeps posting really interesting quotes for He, She, and It, and I'm like, now I want to read that one as well.
Yeah,
I got a copy of He, She, and It, but I can't find the Silver Medal Lover.
Silver
They
Medal
have
Lover
both.
is on Kindle.
What are
Yeah.
the 60 times like? Are they 60 times? Are they weird?
It's very young adult. It's very you know, there are sexy times, but kind of a fade to black kind of situation. Like
Oh,
it's
no.
not- well, there's a few little details, but it's not overly detailed.
Is that just because the batteries went flat or something?
I'm hearing Silver Metal Lover, and I'm sitting there thinking, that could be.
All I can picture is, you remember, what's his name? The British guy in AI playing the gigolo.
Oh, Jude Law.
Jude Law, yeah. He clicks inside and the music comes on and he's like, hey, sexy lady. And you're like, oh, dude.
But, yeah, I sort of... I found it was not as much about her and the robot as what I expected. It's not a romance novel. It's more about, partly about the society and partly about her mother and the way her mother is controlling of her and her choices to move away, to make her own choices and not be controlled by her mother anymore. And that was more what the whole point of the book was about. So it was very different to what I expected it to be. But I thought it was a lot better than I expected it to be.
Okay. Also, it's the Silver Metal Lover, not the Silver Mental Lover, as I put it.
Not silver medal, not silver mental.
I was like,
Silver.
I was like, the Silver Mental Lover. No, that's not going to go in here.
That's a whole other story.
The Silver Medal Lover, though, that does actually sound like a really, a bit of a tragedy. Very tragedy. I'm never quite being good enough.
It got lonely in the asylum.
Oh dear.
I'm gonna write a book.
You should write a book.
What's on your back there,
I'm
Matt?
going to write a book.
Yeah, you are going to write a book, G.
I am. You'll all buy it, won't you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Better than that, we'll be your beta.
I was just gonna say, we'll have to make that a Land Down Under hangout book. Like,
We'll
make
do
everyone
ARC,
read
shall
it.
we? Yes. It is in the process. Things are happening.
Just so everybody's aware, the next hangout for Vaginal Fantasy Down Under is actually going to be before the official one.
Ah.
Because they've changed
there's
the date.
Yeah.
Yeah, they
so,
changed it the other day.
Yeah, they changed it the other day. Veronica is apparently going to be out of town, so that's been switched. So we'll be having ours before, but I can't shift it because the week after that we've got Mouse Guard, and the week after that we've got Sandman. So it's all.
Yeah, no, we're too packed
Yeah,
in
that's fine.
there.
Don't bother me.
Yeah.
Half the
Cool.
time I forget to watch the Hangout, or I've read the book too late. Like I finished the book, as I usually do, finish the book on the day, and because I won't watch the Hangout before I finish the book, I usually do the Hangout here and then watch the Hangout.
Well, that's what I'm finding too for myself every time that it's the reverse, because I don't finish the book because I try to deliberately finish it as close to our hangout as possible. I'm not watching their hangout as live as often, and or at the same time.
I'm never home. So.
Oh, we've got Sandman as well. Oh, there's so many things.
Yeah, I'm so excited for them.
With the comics, with the graphic novels, they won't take you long. They'll take
That's
you
true. Yeah, I'm not
And we're
stressed.
only doing volume 1 of each, aren't we?
Yeah, we're only doing Mouse Guard fall or autumn, and that should.
Or autumn, yeah.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Same thing, just Northern Hemisphere.
And Preludes and Nocturnes for Sandman.
And don't forget, the day after our Vaginal Fantasy hangout for Android Loving is Her.
Her.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
What?
Yes.
The movie.
The movie.
For Her, the movie.
Oh, her. I thought you said Perth. I'm like, what, you're coming to Perth?
Yes, okay, everyone.
Why didn't I hear about that? Surprise!
Anyway.
No, we're going to review Perth. So, what is
Oh dear. Anyway, so yeah, those 3 weeks are going to be intensive for if people are planning to come to all of them, because from the 1st through till the 15th we've got 4 hangouts.
And we're busy.
I won't be able to
I've got the Simon due. It's going to be interesting.
Oh, yeah, it's assignment time.
Well, these are all things. These 3 things shouldn't take us long. Watching the movie a couple of hours. It shouldn't be bad.
I haven't even watched it yet because I'm just the same thing. I'm going, well, if the Hangouts then I've rented it, so I'll need to watch it at some point. But I'm kind of going, well, I'll watch it a bit closer.
I don't think I'm going to watch it again.
Well, I've already watched it, but I'll probably watch it again on the week.
I don't think I can watch it again.
Yes, I only watched half of it. I actually stopped halfway through, so this is going to be interesting for me because I've got to go rewatch it.
Yeah.
Why the people who stopped or can't watch it again? Why is that?
Don't talk about the hangout.
No, I just want to know. Okay, should I be? I don't like watching anything that's scary or gory.
No, it's nothing.
It's not scary and not
like that.
No horror, no gore at all. It's very psychological.
Yeah.
It's not in any way scary. It's more like it makes you think. That's all.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Which is why I wanted to do it, because the last one that we did that where it was like, I need to rewatch this. I remembered when we did Primer.
Primer.
It was like,
I need to watch it again. I want to watch it again.
Yeah, it was like, do I want to watch this again? Maybe. Yeah, that was just the whole thing.
Looks like there's a movie coming out called Predestination, which is it's time travel-y. And
I tell you what's coming out that I'm excited about is Interstellar.
Yes.
Super excited.
Yeah.
I must admit, I went and saw Guardians of the Galaxy for a second time on the weekend. I just want to keep watching it.
Do you know what it is? It's
Chris Pratt.
No, it's the world is built really well. You know, it makes sense. And it was interesting what we were saying before about the book. If we go back to we've talked about these type of things before, where there's too many references to modern stuff that doesn't make any sense, in 5 years, like the Pages stuff and all that. What I thought was cool was the music was all classics in the 50s and 60s. It's and it still worked because we still love those songs today. So the reference was like, it's still going to be cool in another 40 years.
Even if you didn't know the song, you could still groove out to it and enjoy it. It was
absolutely.
But I also thought the other thing, like after watching it the second time, I realised one of the reasons I really like it is because their reactions to the circumstances felt realistic. It wasn't, I'm a hero and I'm wonderful and I will solve the day. It was, shit, this is awful. They
were flawed, and I liked, there was just, I think someone described it as being the most Star Wars type film that things have been trying to emulate Star Wars for 30, 40 odd years. 40 odd years? Yeah. And that finally something's kind of got the children's fun of it without being, I really enjoyed it too. I felt that the world that it was set in, and maybe this is the other thing, was it was set in a parallel universe, not on Earth where you're trying to explain aliens and superheroes. I found that more, it's like in Star Wars, it's more believable when it isn't here on Earth, it's somewhere else. And I haven't read the graphic novels, so I don't know what it's like in the graphic novels, but it was cool, and I like that.
Just so you don't get disappointed, it is actually linked. The big
I do know that because you got kidnapped.
Yeah, okay, good. Because some people didn't watch Avengers all the way to the end, so they don't know what the link is, so that's why.
Oh.
Well, every time we go and see a Marvel movie, there's only like a handful of people that stay to the end.
Ooh. And I stayed to the end. Did you guys stay to the end of this one?
Now.
Yeah.
Did you guys stay to the end of this one though?
Of course.
Yeah. Okay. So you guys all saw Howard?
Howard the Duck.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah, Matt had to explain that to me because I was like,
Seth rendered his voice too. Apparently, Seth did it. Right. Yeah. I was like, that's kick-ass, awesome. So I enjoyed that, and I loved the fact because I did feel so sorry for that dog. So I liked the fact the dog was back. I was like, yay!
All the other people could die, but that dog survived. And
that dog has to survive, and he doesn't have his helmet on anymore, thank God.
Yeah. Hopefully we haven't spoiled this for anybody.
I haven't seen it. Thanks, guys.
Yeah. Sorry, Jane.
That's all right.
Too spoiler.
I'm sure I will see it. Sure enough about what we said that you wouldn't know what part we were talking about there anyway.
Yeah.
No.
It's all
the only thing we said that would be spoiler is that the dog survived.
Not a major point.
No, not really at all.
I enjoyed Rocket, by the way. I was very moved by his drunken speech.
He had his little Puss in Boots moment.
It was good. I enjoyed it all.
Yeah, it was really cool. Really
cool.
And
I think it might have actually managed to just pass the Bechdel test, just maybe possibly skirt by, possibly.
What's that, Mel? Which test?
Bechdel test. It's the test that you do to see whether or not there's good female, any female representation outside of.
Was there more than one female in it?
It has more than one female, but do they talk about each other? Do they talk to each other about anything other than a man?
Right. Does the father count as a man?
Yes, he does count as a man.
That's hard to tell yet.
There's no. I know that it passes, but it's pretty much just one line.
That's still a pass.
It's still a pass.
The film had a female scriptwriter, which I think did help.
Yeah, and I don't really blame her because she's working with source material, so.
Yeah.
And I don't think the Bechdel test is really the be-all and end-all for good female representation anyway.
I don't think it is not good female representation if you pass. If you can't even get that far, then it's bad.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean I don't enjoy the movie, though.
Yeah. It's interesting. I didn't realise until after that the guy from Pushing Daisies was the guy.
Yeah.
Which guy?
The Rings as well. The Hobbit, I mean.
Is he in The Hobbit?
Oh, Ronan the Accuser. Lee Pace.
Yeah, I haven't seen The Hobbit because I heard it was a bit crap, to be honest. But
first one was average. The second one's really good.
Oh, okay.
I can't wait for the third. I'm sorry.
Okay. Yeah, he was in Pushing Daisies. I loved him in Pushing Daisies, and the other one they did before that, which was set at Niagara Falls, which I've forgotten.
Which guy are we talking about?
Hobbit.
Lee Pace.
Lee Pace.
He's Thranduil in Hobbit. You know, Legolas is dead.
No. Who was he in Guardians of the Galaxy?
Thank you, Mel.
He was Ronan the Accuser.
There, it's Ronan.
Oh, that's why I didn't recognise him.
He was
bloody covered with shit all the time.
Yeah. I know, but I remember thinking he was pretty cute in Pushing Daisies, and this I was going, this guy's really ripped, and then I was like, oh, it's him! Hey! Pretty cool. Anyway, I don't want to spoil it for G, because G's going to go see it, I'm sure.
Yes, don't
And
spoil it.
please do go and see it.
Yeah, please, everyone
So
go
we can
see
talk
it again. Stand up to a second viewing, I can tell you now.
Well, it's not very often.
Luke just got home and I just yelled at him that we have to go see it. And he's like, oh no.
And don't pause like I did on frickin' Fault in Our Stars. I never got to see it because they decided to stop showing it at a it was like 2 o'clock sessions only.
Yeah.
So now I have to
You
wait.
probably want to watch that in your own living room anyway, Sarah.
Yeah,
I was going to take my friend Kim,
Yeah.
and I said, and my friend Kim, we both like YA, and I couldn't find anyone else to go with me. And I was like, "Are you okay? I'll bawl." And she's like, "That's okay. I love bawling. I'll bawl in movies too." And we're like, and then we couldn't go, so we went to Jersey Boys.
Yeah, I never got to it either.
Yeah.
We don't get to the movies as often as we used to, and I missed it.
Yeah, I just
Well,
decided
iTunes
I
or
wanted to
something.
see it at home.
Oh, that reminds me. My mum told me.
Either.
What did you?
Hmm?
What?
Which
I
one?
said I haven't seen The Book Thief either.
Oh,
Yeah, that was
wasn't as
lovely.
good as the book might have had.
So has anybody seen A Fault in the Stars?
Me.
No.
I was just
I
thinking
have.
if we wanted
So
to.
like a
maybe
role reversal. She hasn't seen Guardians of the Galaxy, but she's seen Fault in Our Stars.
Priorities. I was just thinking maybe what we could do is a simulcast screening, and we could all watch it together and hang out.
Yeah.
Cool. Although, do we really want to have all of us and bawling our eyes out with tissues everywhere?
We'll all be crying together. You know what you can do? Just turn your microphone off and scoot over so no one can see you in the camera.
I didn't cry that much. Hey, the book was so much more worse. Yeah.
And it's horrible crying when you read a book because you can't get any further because you can't see the page.
What was the other one? There was something I read ages ago, and I had a really bad cold at the time, and it's such a melancholy. The Time Traveler's Wife.
Oh, God. Why would you do that?
And I'm already stuffed up, and I'm like crying, and I'm like, I'm just a snot farm right now.
That is my favourite book ever. I love that book so much.
I haven't read it or seen it, but this is really embarrassing, guys. I've read a Sherlock fan fiction that was based off it. And that convinced me I never ever want to read it or see it because it was too sad, and that was a fan fiction.
There you go.
God,
There you
I
go.
love that book so much, but yes.
Yeah,
Speaking of fan fiction, has everyone seen the trailer to 50 Shades of Grey?
Yeah.
I have seen the trailer, yeah.
I had to watch it twice because the first time I couldn't get through it. I was like, I can't do this. This is awful.
Me too.
I don't know how it's going to be a movie. I could not imagine going to the cinema and watching it. It would be the most embarrassing thing ever. No.
I did
I don't know how they
someone
didn't make it a movie without making a porno.
I had my Facebook feed. Someone had posted the something about the Kindle, like a joke ad for the Kindle, and it was using
Yeah.
I
posted it.
Facebook page.
Yeah, that wasn't me now. Yeah.
Yeah. But it's
Yeah,
that's
great.
exactly
No, I
what
had to
Magical
share it
Fantasy
with you
got
guys,
started for. Yeah, because that's exactly what Felicia said, that the whole reason she loves her Kindle is because she can read all these books that she just didn't want everyone to see the covers of. So it's exactly that.
I can't say that my Kindle's all that different. If you look at all the cloud things, it's just like chest.
Yeah, but you're not sitting there going, ooh.
It's like Ab City.
Or you go to your Amazon
It's like,
page
what's on your
and it's
Kindle?
got
No,
the
don't look at that.
Recommended for you.
recommended for Amazon, and it's like, no, Amazon, that's not me.
No, my Amazon recommendations are hilarious because I look up things that I'm not interested in on Amazon. Like I've just looked up something to find out information on it, but I have no will to buy it at all. With the like joke things, like there's a 5 kilo bag of Haribo sugar-free gummies. And I just wanted to see what the hell they were.
You
Because there was this
the review.
YouTube challenge on this. I'm like, what the hell are these?
And
I'm
now
like,
it's
so
like
it's recommending me
suggested
Haribo
by.
gummy.
Oh, it's
If
funny.
you haven't looked at the reviews of the Haribo sugar-free gummy bears, you need to look at them because they are hilarious.
Yeah. There's one
no.
guy that does eating challenges, and he ate the whole 5 kilos.
What
And
are they called?
yeah, so he set the camera up in the bathroom.
Sugar-free gummy bears. Hang on, I've got to look these things up.
Oh yeah, the reviews of it.
What's usually a problem with sugar-free foods is that they replace them with sweeteners, and those sweeteners usually make you
Laxative effect.
they give you an laxative effect. Imagine if you ate there's like, oh, you should go to Amazon, you have to read the reviews on it because there's so many reviews and most of them are just joke ones and it's just hilarious.
Okay, I have now gone to Amazon too, so we'll see what I get suggested as well.
So now we'll all be buying 5 kilo lots of sugarless gummy bears. Awesome.
I would not. People are like, I had 8 and I was on the toilet.
Oh, yeah.
These things are evil.
What exactly is the serving size with all these little Satan bear
I think the
zeros?
serving size is meant to be 8, but I've read things of people going, oh well, I'll just replace somebody as a joke. I'll replace some of these normal gummy bears with the sugar-free ones to see what happens.
Oh, that's cruel.
Oh. Blah, 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 blah.
I'm surprised they still sell them after knowing what they do, because you'd think that they would be like, oh, I'm afraid of getting sued now.
I think they're through like an independent seller, and it's just if you read the reviews, it should be.
These Q&As are so funny. Last time I ordered this, I paid $25 with no shipping. Why such an increase? Answer: the enormous increase in popularity of these little guys is due to their ability to unleash the beasts of Satan on your bowels, and they've made the seller increase the price. Funny. Jeez.
Oh, I actually read the best review today. It was so good. It was posted on Tumblr. I should have shared it. Oh my god, it was hilarious. It was for tissue. Oh, I have to find it because I've got to read this out to you guys because it's hilarious. Just a sec. Tumblr. Ever addicted.
My suggestions are boring today.
Yeah, mine aren't too bad actually.
Yeah, I just looked at mine and went, oh, actually, I really want to read all those books.
Yeah, there's some not bad ones in
I've
here.
got the second book from the Ancillary Justice one, and I've got The Slow Regard of Silent Things from Pat Rothfuss.
Yeah, I've got Often Be the
wanna read
Wizard
that.
by Scott Meyer. And
Yeah, see, you guys obviously look up
Celery
normal things.
Justice one a Hugo.
The Scourge of Millwood.
I've got, what is this? Lisa Reagan.
Oh, Raven.
Okay.
Yeah.
Have you got it, Mel?
I've got it. Are you guys ready?
Yeah, all right.
Yeah.
So it's just an ordinary box of Kleenex facial tissue, white. A mother's struggle. I want to start this off by thanking Kleenex for selling these in 36 packs. I've put it on a subscription, and if they want to start selling them in 72 packs, sign me up. I have 3 reasons for needing this much Kleenex, and their names are Liam, Samuel, and Hank. This is how it goes in this house. First, the Kleenex disappears, then the toilet paper, then go the fabrics, and you don't want to go there unless you want to invest a 5-gallon drum of Febreze. This used to be a good Christian home, but it's not about moral judgment anymore. I'm way beyond that. I'm in survival mode. If I don't supply absorbent paper products, I'm going to find my dish towels hidden in the basement, stiff as aluminium. The other day, I almost cut my hand on a sock. I'm sorry. But with 3 teenage boys, a mother has got to be practical. The funny part is they think they're being sneaky with their 45-minute showers and the sudden need for privacy, as if I'm going to work in on them journaling. They slink around the house like unfixed cats,
while I try to announce my location at all times. They don't need to ask me to knock anymore. I knock on the walls. I practically wear a cowbell. I'm not looking to catch anyone by surprise, believe me. I'm just trying to get through this. The other day, my husband was watching me unload the groceries, and he asked me, all sweetness and light, honey, what are you doing with all that Kleenex? I about knocked him off his chair.
I have read that. Oh, that's good.
Funny. Oh, it's one of the best ones I've ever read.
That's so funny.
Oh, well, I'm going to have to hit the sack, guys, on that note.
Oh, Sarah,
On
happy
that climax.
birthday.
Oh, thank
Yeah,
you.
happy birthday, Sarah.
I spent it with you guys.
Wine for you.
Yeah.
Yes. It was fun.
I would have
Thank
made
you.
cake, but I didn't think you were actually coming until way close. So.
Well, I didn't either. It was all
You would have made cake and ate it.
Oh, I totally would have.
So I made you a birthday cake. I'm eating it.
Nom, 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 nom.
It would have been a candle. We would have pretended that she blew it out.
They got me cupcakes at work today, which was nice. I'll show you a photo. If any of you guys are on Instagram, you can see it on Instagram. And the only person is a little red nest. There you go. That's me with my cakes. This is nice. Little carrot cupcakes.
Is that the cup?
Oh.
Yum. Yeah, yum, 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 yum. They were good.
Sarah, was that the cupcake queens?
No, it wasn't. I don't know. Zoe got them from somewhere. They deliver.
Just a friend got them at work for her birthday, and I was like, oh my god, these are the best cupcakes I've ever had.
They weren't the best cupcakes I'd ever had, to be honest, but they were still, the thought counted, and I still had one, and then sugar high ensued. So, you know.
Sorry, a couple other business guys before you disappear. Don't forget to vote if you haven't already. There's a vote up for our November Read a Children's Book. We've got to the end of the weekend to vote.
Yep, I voted. I'm excited.
Awesome, and we're also in the meetup. We're discussing dates at the moment, so you know, chime in. Meetup for next. Just because I'm trying to get location and date sorted, and then I will not talk about it anymore until much closer.
Yeah, the date is going to be important.
Yeah. Well, I think the 4th and the 5th works the best, but Nicole's just said that she'd prefer, and then there's sort of some debate about whether or not Supernova and blah, blah, blah. Just chime in, guys, so that I can get a general consensus feel of what people feel like.
I live here. I don't mind.
With the exception of Sarah, who doesn't care. They're coming to my town.
And I'd just like to say, for the record, I voted for Brisbane. So there you go.
Did Sydney win vote?
Sydney won the vote by one. It was just by one.
Matt, did you vote? You're in trouble if you didn't.
I voted for Brisbane.
You didn't sound very sure about that.
No, I did. It's like, I can't vote for anywhere else because we can't really go anywhere else.
I'm sorry, guys.
That's why I voted for Brisbane.
The year after that, it'll probably be Brisbane.
I'd say that's
Oh, guys, the poll's really close too.
Yeah.
We've got 3 for the Golden Compass and 3 for House Moving Castle so far. They're at tie. Go.
I voted for Wrinkle in Time.
I voted for Wrinkle in Time too.
It's got 2
I
votes.
just started reading
There's a
that.
sequel? Sorry.
What?
Dad joke.
You.
Practicing.
I get it.
Okay.
Did everybody else miss it?
I think so. I'm not sure.
I got you.
Thank
I got
you.
the joke.
I do. I appreciate that, Kim. Thank you.
Anyway, but yeah, look, honestly, I'm sort of starting to think that maybe we need to have 2 different hangouts, maybe running concurrently. Because it seems to be a lot of
I've read the Golden Compass, so I'm happy to be in that hangout.
I've read that one too.
Yeah.
I've read it too, which is why I didn't vote for it, because I was like,
I read it when the movie came out.
I've read them all. That's the other thing. Are people aware that Golden Compass is part of the trilogy?
It's dark
it is part
material.
of the
Yeah.
trilogy.
Yeah.
Yeah, as long as, and that's, I mean, I really enjoy that trilogy, but it's just, yeah. The
It's not a stop point either. It's definitely an ending which sort of makes you want to keep reading. So
yeah, and I felt bad for people who went and saw the movie because I was like going, it gets better, and it just ends.
That's why I liked Howl's Moving Castle, because while it is part of a trilogy, they're completely solo stories. So
cool. I didn't know it's part of a trilogy. Yep. So.
But anyway, the idea is that whatever book we're reading, we'll do the movie as well. So.
Yeah.
Cool. Awesome. I like that idea. Yeah, and actually that makes me quite excited about Howl's Moving Castle. Because I want to watch another Studio Ghibli film.
Ghibli.
Thank you.
Ghibli. Yes, I've got oh no, I haven't got. Oh, my friend's got Howl's
Spanish word.
That's right.
I
lent it out. I keep going, watch it.
Yeah. All right, guys. Just vote whatever it is, whatever wins. If we have to, we can do a second vote if we get a tie again. So whatever happens, because it's time to do that.
Cool.
Okay. Alrighty. All right.
Bye.
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 Bye. Bye.